And we're live. It's Friday night. It's Valentine's Day. Who's your date? We are. I have one question and two statements. Which would you like first?
Question.
Whack, are you wearing actual suit pants?
No.
Statement number one. Because I thought you would say that I wasn't as well. I am.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Statement number two. You guys look beautiful.
Thank you. So do you, buddy.
Yeah.
Guys, welcome to Non-Effort. And it's the second episode of this, and we've put so much effort in.
I also smell good, by the way.
Do you?
Me too.
I also smell good.
Yep.
I
went
think
all
it's
out.
part of the outfit. You have to smell good.
I've been
too.
putting onions in all the pockets of this so that I smell good too.
Delicious.
Yeah? That's what you want to smell on Valentine's Day, isn't it?
Yes.
That's what I was told. What Grandma always told me. It's Valentine's Day, but it's also a Friday, and that means we're here to rob you blind of every penny that you've earned throughout the week. This is our sort of interim show between actual half-assed shows, which will be run throughout the year by one of us, such as Non-Canon. The next is PB's show, which she was tasked with creating last week. You have a month, less than a month now. Did you make a trailer? Because I did promise that there would be one. Good. If you guys look on the...
I did. It's good. It's
on
good,
the left-hand side of the screen here. You'll see that there is a tip bar. Every tip goes to that. Don't worry, there's not two annoying bars for it to randomly go towards. Any tips that you guys might want to generously send our way will contribute to that bar. Each of those things there is a topic or a question that was submitted by someone on our Discord. PB's show trailer is also on there as well. That's ready to go if you want to watch that. That is for the next thing that PB will be running here on Fridays after Non-Effort finishes. And there is a secret question under there as well. I've also left PB's ear story on there from last week. Because I am quite curious as to how you brutally ate someone's ear.
Okay.
I'm curious. But we also have...
anyone's ear.
We have all of these other questions as well. To sort of start us off, I figured that we'll do what we did last time, where we take some questions from chat as well. So if you've got a question that you want us to throw up now, I think it should be a Valentine's Day question though. I purposefully did not add any on here that were Valentine's based because I thought we could just get a Valentine's Day question or topic from chat. We need 5 of them, suggestions from anybody in the chat who might want to suggest a question or a topic for us to discuss, and we'll put the 5 questions in there and we'll do a little chat vote, and then that one can go in where it says Valentine's Day questions. Other than that, I've grabbed random questions from Discord. You can submit questions for this on Discord, tablestory.tv/Discord. And we might get to them next week. We might even get to them the week after. We might even get to them in 8 months from now, because I'm grabbing all of them, even though there's only room for 6 during the actual show. So chuck down some questions for Valentine's Day, and we'll add that to our list as well. How's everyone's week been? I think I actually sound less sick than I did last week, which is pretty weird.
You feel more sick?
No, I sound less sick than I did last week when I didn't.
Significantly less phlegm.
I wasn't even sure if I was sick or not. And I was.
Yep.
been incredibly unwell for a few days, and then also just a few days of just looking unwell. You know when you have a cold and your face is peeling and your nose is red.
Did you fix your glasses?
I did, but they're not
Okay.
technically
But
fixed.
they're just barely being held up by your headset.
Yeah, during the week, the right hand arm fell off of
Stem.
these. Stem fell off of these. And I pulled apart an old pair of glasses and took the little screw. Because what happened is just the screw came out. There's a tiny little screw that holds this thing on. And it just fell out. And that was it. Just randomly looked at my glasses and there just was no screw in there. So I got an old pair, pulled them apart with like the worst screwdriver that I kid you not, I got out of a Christmas cracker this year. Or like 2024.
Christmas cracker. Okay.
What do you call them?
Yeah.
You not have
Do
them?
you
Don't
have
have
them,
them.
Whack? No, yeah, I didn't think so.
Do you know what they are?
I know because of my proximity to our many diverse friends.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a little thing that we do, I guess, in England.
They have them here.
I thought
too.
it was
they do it
everywhere.
here too.
And in the
Mhm.
Commonwealth, where you basically just two people
That's
pull
me.
this like weird little thing apart, and it does a little bang, and there's usually like a toy in there and a joke and stuff. It's
And
really
a
weird.
crown. And a
And a
paper
crown
crown
that
that
you
you
put on, yeah.
wear, yeah.
It's a massive
Mhm.
tradition in the UK for Christmas Day, and I guess around the world in other places that aren't America. But in there is usually like the worst little trinket or like whatever, you know. It'll be like a tiny little screwdriver or a bottle opener or something like that.
We sell glasses repair kits. They're little tubes, and they have like a red top on them. And they sell them in grocery stores here. You know how...
What is it, glue?
No. It's a tube of the red top is an actual screwdriver. It's like a mini screwdriver. And then there's little screws.
I had to buy one.
And then
Yeah.
nose.
That's what I bought.
Yeah. I had to buy one of those because this Christmas cracker screwdriver was terrible. But I took apart an old pair and I couldn't get the screw to work. The new repair kit one arrived, the proper one, and still couldn't get the screw in. It was the wrong size screw. So then I had to get another pair of glasses.
No!
The only issue was the screw was the wrong size. But so is the screw that is currently in this. I don't actually know how these are being held together right now because I just jammed it in and screwed it as hard as I
Sometimes
could.
you just gotta thumb it in, bud.
Sometimes, yep. And they're sort of holding together for now. I did actually think I was going to be glassesless for this week, which I can do. I just prefer not to be anymore. I'm just too old.
Mm-hmm.
My eyesight's good enough to pass. I can pass. But I just get annoyed. 'Cause every now and then I'll see some tiny writing somewhere and I'm like, oh, if I was wearing glasses. It's laziness.
Yeah,
Pure laziness.
pure laziness.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome to non-effort. What about you two? Because my week's been a disaster. What's the best thing that happened to you two this week?
You want to go first?
Nope.
Figured. The best thing that happened to me this week was that we had a really good time doing Midnight Masquerade, and
Yes.
we had basically I felt like I just had really good shows all week, and it just was nice. It's nice when that happens, you know, when even though you're super exhausted and you're doing a bunch of shows, somehow they work out, even though you're just like, I needed so much more time this week to get everything done. I had nothing ready for main character this week, and still turned out to be a really good episode.
It
and
was
I was happy
so
with
good. It was so good. It was ridiculous.
I had nothing. I apologize to everybody before we started. I was just like, guys, I really had a plan to have way more stuff ready for this week, and I had nothing.
The best feeling.
Just going off of notes and stuff that
Why
I
are
had
some of those
ready.
the best episodes, though? Is it because the GMs get their heads out of their ass, or because the GMs just get out of the way?
We were talking about this morning, weren't we, Wack?
Yeah, probably a little bit of both, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
I think for me, sometimes it's that if I'm just left to my own devices, I will sort of over-prepare. And then it's not like exactly like the show will be on rails, but I'm so prepared that the rails are available constantly. That everything happens within rails, you know, because I have over-prepared around that. So then if I don't prepare enough, it doesn't matter. None of this, you can't go off my rails. I don't get frustrated that I'm like, oh, I was supposed to hit this beat and I was planning on kind of hoping that we get to this point tonight. I'm just like, what are you guys doing? I hope you're doing something because I've got nothing ready for you to do.
Yeah. Do you tell the players that? I know Wack just said that he did, but do you, Brad? Are you normally like, man, I got nothing?
Sometimes.
Because I feel like I vaguely remember, it didn't happen a lot, but I vaguely remember sometimes when you were like, I had a really stressful week this week, or I just didn't get as much prep done. And I'm wondering if I do the same thing. So I'm wondering if that has something to do with it too. Like we tell the players and then the players go, okay. And then they do a little bit of GMing themselves, right? They just like step it
I've
up
done it a couple times where I'm like,
yeah.
can you guys like carry and fill? Like,
Yeah.
just I have a couple of times been like, I'm just going to plop you down at a campfire.
Yeah.
And don't feel the need to move on. Just have a conversation.
Yep.
If you want, you know. And if
And that's
nothing
why
else,
there
in
were-
that time, you can spam a little like combat encounter or something for them to. That's I guess the good thing about probably more traditional D&D stuff.
Yeah,
is
because
that
you can
you-
always have an encounter.
You can just have an encounter. You'd be like, hey,
Mhm.
can you guys just buy me 15 minutes? In 15 minutes, I've made a battle map with wolves. You know.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you hear a howling, whoa, roll initiative. Woo, bye. I think I did that literally during non-canon at some point where I was like, there's wolves, can you do a
Mhm.
howl for me? I was so tired that week.
Yep. It's always Whack.
Yeah.
You're doing the next one now.
Thank you.
Congratulations, baby.
Mhm.
We got our
Me?
Valentine's questions
Well, I'm already doing the next show.
in the
so-
chat, by the way.
Well, now
so
you have to do
vote,
the howl.
vote on the one that you want to go.
Sorry.
I meant during the show, but fine.
I know what you meant. I'm being a gremlin.
You're doing it now. All right. Did you answer, PB? I think I was
Nope.
setting up this thing. Go on then. What good things have happened to you this week?
Damn it. No, I actually do have an answer. It's gonna seem like a maybe not awesome answer, but to me it's incredibly awesome. I had genuine, authentic Okinawan soba last night, and that is Aces.
It was flown
That's
in
where I grew
directly
up.
from Okinawa,
Mm-hmm. 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 Mm-hmm.
specifically
14
for
hours
you.
on a plane, and then I could reheat it and eat it. Yep.
Nice.
Damn.
It was very, very, very good. I loved every second of it.
Is that weird? Like, so you went to the place or you ordered it to your house?
I went to the place to pick it up. Yep.
And when you're in there and you're eating it, do you
Mhm.
time travel a bit?
Yeah, actually. So I thought maybe when I went there and I tried it for the first time, because this is my second time there, or maybe it's 3 now. It's bad, but who cares? I haven't had it for like 20 years.
Eat it every
Um,
day, man.
That's kind of where I'm at. I'm
cares?
like, who cares?
Yeah.
I haven't had it in so long, and it's, anyway. Yeah, I thought maybe I would, I was worried I would cry in the restaurant and shit, if I went in and had it, but
It's got to
I
be a
didn't
regular
remember-
enough occurrence that it doesn't bother you.
Hey, the
anymore.
crying lady's back.
I don't like crying in public. No way, dude. I'd rather stab myself with something in my palm and just be like, keep your shit together, than cry in public. I did that though with Mergs, because she took me to a Japanese place that had like authentic yakisoba, and as soon as the waiter brought the meal over and set it down, I could smell it, and I was like, oh shit, this is legit. And then Mergs just sat there in silence, and I ate a bite, and then I kind of just was like, well, I'm crying now in public. And she was like, I knew it. I could tell the second, the smell, it smelled like nothing I've ever smelled before. I was like, oh yeah, it was really, really good. But I didn't cry over the soba. It just felt, I don't know. I guess it's a wave of warmth and happiness and joy. And I was just like, oh, I remember this. And that was it. And yeah. Felt good.
That is good. You're
Mhm.
allowed to. You're allowed to say
Thank
that
you.
that's a good thing, and you were so hesitant to say this thing, and I don't know
'cause
why.
It's just I don't know. It seems lame. Like, oh, a meal was what was the highlight of my
Dude,
week, but it's not
chat.
just a meal.
Chat right now. How many people in chat was the highlight of your week a meal?
Oh, yeah, it's probably so many people. Do you know what? It would be mine if I could just eat something with corn in. And I don't care about food. If you could just
remember the taste of corn.
Oh, like some like proper like like a cake,
Like
a
a
legit
corn on the
cake.
cob.
I'll take it. I'll take popcorn. I miss popcorn.
Can you not have corn on the cob? That's an interesting question.
No.
Is it all corn or is it processed corn?
All corn, maize, tapioca, anything.
Interesting.
It's
Okay.
horrendous.
Yep.
It's in everything.
Hmm.
Yeah, I just want a proper. I'd buy like a whole wedding cake to my. If you were like you got 24 hours, and then
To live.
the allergy comes back.
Oh.
The one thing you want before you die is corn.
One piece of corn on the cob, please. No, I'd eat like a
God.
wedding cake or something, you know. I'd just get like a giant glucose fructose syrup wedding cake. That'd be my,
You
be my
know,
choice.
I know that this is very antagonistic to many people, but I'm not a big cake fan. I don't
Me
really
either.
like cake. I'm not a fan of it.
It's okay.
It's
It's
very
not awful.
samey to me most of the
Mhm.
time.
Honestly, based on every TikTok you sent me, liar.
I never send you cake TikToks. What are you talking
That's
about?
the only thing you sent me.
Aside from,
But now we
are you talking about
realize.
the booty?
I'm talking
cake?
about
Yeah, they're
caked up
talking about
Yeah,
women.
other- Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there you go.
Mm-hmm.
It's all he sends me on TikTok. It's insane.
Somebody's got to do it. It's my favorite. I try to change
Wait,
it
what?
up.
You're for real?
Yeah,
my
it's so
favorite
annoying.
thing.
Yeah.
It's so annoying. He
I
did
sh-
it to try and infect my For You page because he knows that I skip past all of them. I don't
Yep.
get suckered into the side of I know this is no one ever believes me, but I swear to God, I don't get sucked into that because it's just too much. Your algorithm becomes nothing but just
But.
butts.
Yep.
So I skip past them as quickly as possible just because I'm like, I don't want the algorithm to give me any more. I just want memes, basically. And he tried to infect my page, but he'll send me like 2 TikToks. He'll be like, oh, Magic the Gathering or like a cat. And then there'll just be an arse. Like one of those gym
That's
videos
pretty
where they're
funny.
like doing squats or something. And I'm
Yeah.
like, Jesus. And it's insane as well. It's like, it'll be the most insane thing you've ever seen. And it's like, what the fuck, dude?
Fills me with
That's
such
pretty
joy.
Yep,
Yeah.
that's excellent.
I really try and throw them off. Sometimes I'll give them like a bunch of those, and then I'll be like,
Mhm.
okay, now I just need to send him regular ones.
Yeah, I forget
lull
about
him
it.
into a false sense of security, and then bam,
Bam.
again.
Yeah.
Cake.
You gotta find the ones that are like halfway through something else entirely, and then it's just a butt. You got it. I believe in you. Stitch him together yourself. Whack at his computer, just to get at Brad.
Horrific. It's a nightmare.
The whole reason that started, by the way, because Brad went full super gross TikToks. He was sending me super gross ones. People puking for like horrific
It was
amounts
puke
of
talks.
time.
I was
Oh God.
I was on Puke
Turnabout's
Talk
fair play, then I guess.
for a good long time, and I would send them to everyone. And it's been a good while since I found one, but there was a good one the other day that I think I sent around of someone doing like a skydive or like, you know, something like, you know, they do like the tandem skydives, and there was just one. There's a woman who's on the front and the guy who's doing the thing, you know, and
No,
they jump
stop
out and
the
she
story
just
now.
poof, and it goes straight in his mouth.
It's horrific.
Oh!
It's so horrific.
I sent it to everyone.
Yep.
Well, I'm never installing TikTok again.
I send you some because one day you'll find them and there'll be a nice gift for you waiting.
I send good TikToks to you.
Oh,
Not the cake.
Yeah, I
up.
don't send you any vomit ones.
okay.
I send turtle
Maybe I'm-
talks. I send
Hold on.
send sweet animal
Just about
talks.
to install
I'll reinstall TikTok right now.
I send hobbit talks.
Oh, don't believe them, PB. It's a trap.
No,
Yeah,
it's,
I
the
believe it.
only reason that Brad is getting ass talk is because of retaliation. That's it.
Yep. Yeah.
That was the reason. I would never have started it, but I was like, all right, buddy. All right.
You're
Yeah.
gonna send me vomit. I'm gonna send you ass.
It's fair. it's admittedly quite fair. All right. Well, we've got a few
about you,
topics
Brad?
to talk about. I already I told you about my week.
What was your favorite part of your week, though?
It was like the 12 minutes this morning that I felt a bit better, and then it was
Short
ruined.
window where I could breathe.
Yeah, it was ruined by Orkish.
Why was it ruined? Oh, okay. What did he do? Medical anxiety again? Maybe
Yeah,
we should bring it up.
he's been planning a thing all week. He waited until I felt good, and then
I caught that bit of his stream yesterday. Yep.
yeah.
What? It's real?
Yeah. So
I need to
Brad.
know what
so-
Brad is saying is real.
So Brad did the Orcish takeover on his stream, and he
no.
incentivized everybody with the hype train,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, I
so
know.
He said
Oh,
that
I know.
that offline hype
I
train.
was there.
So Orcish on his stream said, "Okay, we need to earn this much money, and give it to Brad and destroy him at the beginning of his stream."
Oh.
As payback. Brad can't even buy a mattress. We gotta get Brad a mattress.
Did he succeed?
Yeah, he sent me
Was that
the
at the
beginning of
beginning
my
of your
stream today was him sending me $265 and a song that he'd made.
Get fucked, buddy.
Ruined my day. Speaking of $265, guys, thank you for the tips so far and the topics. The topics that we have selected this evening have been randomly picked from the Discord channel by a robot whose name is Quick GMing.
The robot
Harry.
is named
Harry.
Perry.
I have
Mhm.
nothing. I got nothing, dude. I did
Harry.
3 shows this week. What are you asking for?
Perri.
I'm asking for Quick GMing. Perry the
Well, I got
robot.
nothing left in the tank.
What does Perry stand for?
Either Peridot or
Oh, I thought
Yeah,
it was
no,
going to be
I like
performance enhancing
Robotic.
robotic reinforced imagination enhancer. I was trying to make it GM based, so it's like
Mhm.
helping us GM.
that's pretty
Uh,
damn good,
Thank
actually.
you. Thanks so much. I don't even know what I just said. I know one of them was robotic and that was wax. Perry picked a bunch of questions. The first one is about celebrities, which I thought would be funny to answer because I don't even know if we can name celebrities between us. We got one about stage fright in there as well, which is not obviously like classic stage fright of stepping up onto a stage. It's whether we still we get nerves, to do this and, things like that. The next question that Perry suggested was, how do you make a mystery in a campaign and how you would pacing, which I think we're all quite obsessed with a lot of the time. We also have a PB show trailer, which PB worked on for a whole week. I'm guessing every hour available that you weren't on a stream or sleeping. Longer. Are you doing it during stream at one point? I know you do that sometimes. It
You
takes
did
like
it super fast?
it was like 20 minutes. What?
When I got up this morning, Brad.
You
and I
did that today? Are you
Mhm,
fucking
mhm.
kidding me?
How is that possible? I don't even
I had-
understand how you
Alright,
made it.
Come on, fuck off.
Yeah. I'm a professional editor and I don't
I-
even know how you did that.
I had
I'll wait till you see it. Wait till you see
No,
it.
you guys
Chad.
are like, oh, it's going to be a PowerPoint. It actually
No.
genuinely is mind blowing.
I should have done.
All right.
I should have done.
That's insane.
I'll never forgive you for that.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I
If
thought
you
you guys were
guys,
gonna be mad because I waited until the last minute to do it.
I'm mad that you fucking did wait till the last minute and it came out that good.
Oh, okay.
yeah, it makes me not even want to run my next full campaign. She's done something
this is my next
better
full campaign.
in 20 minutes than the thing I've been
Oh,
working
no,
on
no.
for
It
months.
took me longer than 20 minutes. Like, when did I message you this morning? That's whenever I was like, I'll take my time getting up. That was a lie. I got up immediately because I couldn't relax any longer and immediately started working on it. And
Insane.
I had like maybe, I'd say 40 minutes or so prior to that where I had like dumped all the clips that I wanted in before I started like, you know, really working on it. But yeah, so I had like framework there, sort of. Anyway, it doesn't matter. You guys will know what we're talking about later, I hope.
Yeah. If you
We'll see if
you
we can
unlock
get the
it
tips up that high.
with money, can you
Mhm.
get your tip up
Mhm.
that high? It's Valentine's Day, guys. Also, when you hit PB show trailer on there is a secret
Mhm.
question underneath that, in which we will discuss shows, favorite show of the other two. So,
Mean.
you know, what was your favorite show from the other two GMs? you watched and
Okay.
enjoyed.
Yep.
Is the secret question under there. We also have the
mhm.
question submitted from chat today from Bro the Boss, which said if you had to date any Tablestory villain, which one would you pick?
Oh, hands down, I already know my answer.
Ah.
I'm not gonna answer because we're not there yet. But I already have my answer.
Fraction of a second, you already know.
I knew instantly.
I can't even. I don't know. I'd have to think about it.
Our first topic.
And obviously, the final topic, if we get there, is that we finally
No.
find out PB's ear story.
Please don't make me tell the ear story dressed like this.
It's
It's me. You
the
gotta
best
put on
way
a little
to tell
bib,
it.
little bib with a smattering of blood upon it.
I might be able to full screen you as well. Just really
No!
fucking make it just so unbelievably awful for you to experience.
Thank you. Happy Valentine's Day to you too.
Yep, that's what it's like spending Valentine's Day with me. I can't do traditional things, man. I'm like anarchy, you know? I'm like rebel.
So we got a tip, but I don't think it registered on the bar. Do you have it covered or something? Because I don't think it updated.
No.
What do you mean covered?
Yeah, like there's some.
Well, for example, I use Edge for some
so
of the
tab
things.
back in.
And when you like if you haven't tabbed in, that might not
this is just a
register.
browser source. It's not.
Yeah,
It's not being captured like
happening.
that. So I don't know.
Well, we have enough for that. We
All right.
should have.
I don't know why
All
it's
right.
not updated. Maybe it's just messing around again, isn't it?
What did you make the total?
It's either $1,000 or $1,200 or something like that.
Okay. Because normally it's 75 a tick, but. if
Oh,
it
then
was-
change it.
Well, no. That's fine. I'm just wondering
Just
what
whatever-
it is.
It's
Whatever
$1
one I-
million. Sorry. All right. Well, let's just do the. You can figure that out quietly in the background.
Oh, is this who you would have as a celebrity player?
Yeah. Question from Kipling,
Mm-hmm.
who was by far the #1 fan of non-canon. By the way, he loved that so much. I don't know why.
Oh, good. That makes me happy.
Of all the things that we've run, you know, that
It was a
the
good
one.
show. Fuck you. It was good. It was fun.
There was one person that was like, "This is the best one," though. You know, non-canon compared to main character compared to Gone.
I'm trying to think.
That's the
I
one.
think it was Aqua. I think Aqua said the best thing about the episode of Deathless was this trailer that was played in the middle of the show, or the ad. Oh,
remember
it was
that.
your ad. It was
I
your
remember.
HelloFresh ad.
I remember.
Oh, I will live off of that for years.
So
Best
Kipling.
thing about this show was the ad
Was
that
the
Brad
ad.
The
did.
HelloFresh ad that Brad played.
Kipling said, if you could GM a game for a group of your favorite celebrities, who would you pick and
Me,
what
me,
would you play?
Me.
Mhm. Yeah.
Well, unfortunately, I can't, but this has been my answer for a very long time. Robin Williams, Jim Carrey, Don Cheadle, and do I need all four?
I mean,
course,
it's
you
just
gotta
which
fill out the
celebrity.
party.
I mean,
Denzel
yeah,
Washington.
that would be
I think-
crazy. Imagine
I think he'd be
watching
fucking hilarious, dude. That's my 4.
that. Okay.
And is it alive? It's alive or dead, obviously.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's whatever you
Okay.
want. Everything we're doing is make believe.
Okay.
Oh my god. You know who else would be amazing? She played in Arrested Development. She played the old mother, and then she also played in Archer. What was her name?
Yeah, I
Yep.
don't know her name either. But yeah, put her in.
The thing is that you don't know necessarily if they're good at improv, right? Because some actors are amazing, but it's because they've got a script and they're not necessarily as comfortable improvising. So I feel like you gotta stick with the comedians.
Yeah.
Yep. What would you make them play though? Well, because Robin Williams is in it, I would do fantasy. I'd probably do like some form of fantasy light. That was his jam. Probably D&D. Straight up. Traditional. We wouldn't be playing D&D within the first 5 minutes, right? They'd be doing their own thing. I would just like to witness the glory.
This is such a I'm trying to min-max the fucking group.
Yeah, you're like, okay, but who will go well together?
Yep. I'm trying to do cast math on the group, and I have so little brain power left this week. It boggles the mind.
My cast math is pretty good. I think that crew would be excellent together.
I agree. I would love to have Don Cheadle in a campaign. I think he would be fucking incredible. He seems very. I just remember when he did that interview with Kevin Hart, and Kevin Hart did that joke where he says, "How old are you, man?" He's like 56. Damn. He's like, and he just the deadpan response from Don Cheadle. I was fucking dying, dude. It was so good. I feel like he'd be excellent. Don Cheadle.
Okay, so then how much does it cost to get Don Cheadle here? Because he's on both of our dream lists. Christ. Like, let's go.
Don Cheadle. I almost want to say Vin Diesel purely for the memes. Like,
no, man.
It would be so like hilariously bad to have him there, you know? But I don't think so.
Yeah, no.
I'm gonna say Don Cheadle. I want to say like somebody that's never played D&D before, but they would fucking love it. Maybe somebody like
Elijah
Judy...
Wood would be so good. Oh my god, what a nerd! Sorry. You just said somebody who's never played D&D before but would love it, and my brain went, "Oh, I've heard an interview where he said he's never played it before."
So I'm thinking, like somebody like Judi Dench or like Helen Mirren.
Oh my god!
Like I think that shit would
Imagine
be hilarious.
Dames and D and Dames or some shit like that. Oh my god, Dungeons and Dames. That'd be so good. You got Judi Dench. You've got Maggie Smith.
And then you need people that can like get them hyped, like people that are just super nice, and they want to play D&D. Somebody like Deborah Ann Wool.
Yeah.
Like she's a D&D person, and an actress, and she's very hype about D&D all the time. And then maybe somebody like, like you can go with the obvious answers like Henry Cavill, people like that, like Joe Manganiello. These people already play the shit out of D&D.
Me.
Does he?
Yeah. I think there's something wrong with him. Him and Jude Law, I watch them in interviews and I'm like, I would be out of there so fast.
No. Jude Law, yeah. Henry Cavill, no.
You don't think so? He's got that same, like, I don't know.
He plays Warhammer in World of Warcraft.
And that just automatically makes him okay?
Yeah. What you're
Oh, okay.
conflating with like psychopathic serial killer is he's thinking about.
I'm not saying they're psychopathic serial killers.
Oh,
I'm just saying that my danger flag goes.
Okay.
I don't know if I have a psychopathic killer danger flag. I think I just have a. Anyway,
Who's the Korean actor from Lost? The
Daniel Day Kim.
yes.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh God, he's
would-
so
he'd be really
fine
good.
in that
Holy shit.
in the Avatar human live action thing. Have you watched that?
I have.
When
He's
he's
great.
just naked
He's
at
always
one
good.
point. No. I'm just. It's nothing to do with his acting
You're
skill.
just objectifying him.
Straight up
Yep.
objectification.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell you, this guy is so fine.
Oh, Ki Kwan as well.
You got too many people at your table right now. You're running
Yeah.
gone.
Yep.
You're gonna have to run Nibiru.
Yeah.
the people you got.
I would say. Yeah, I'll go with my 4. Daniel Day Kim. I'll leave him in the squad. I would say Ki Kwan is a backup. There you go.
That's a good table.
Completely,
It's a good
like,
table.
I think, I don't think about that like the people that I wouldn't normally put in a game, but I think would be really good in it. I think usually about the standard, like, oh, these people are D&D players and they'd really love it.
Yeah.
But I was trying to think like who doesn't play D&D or something that would probably be great. But you definitely need one person in there that knows what they're doing and can get people excited.
And on that segue, I know who I would absolutely GM for.
Yeah.
Okay.
Go.
Busta Rhymes. Tupac. Redman. ODB. And then just
That's 4. That's 4.
That's 4.
That's 4.
That's
Yep.
4.
We need 5 though.
That's 4. He says with 4 fingers held up. Yes.
All right, fine.
Yes,
Those
it is.
4. I'll take those 4, and I would run them through Call of Cthulhu. I know it's a bit of a. I think this is a Key and Peele sketch, in a way, where they have like normal D&D players and Kanye West at the table. But I honestly think it would be so hilarious to put these like bad man rappers, that are just all front, sit them down at a table, make them be like, you have to make a character that you're playing, and then try and scare them.
Yeah.
I would love that. I would enjoy that process so much. I also just love all of those artists, so I'd get to just be set up. Oh, you haven't finished making your character yet? Oh, okay. Well, what was your relationship with Machiavelli actually like? Just fucking straight in there. That would be my dream. I'm sick of DMing for all these fucking nerds, all these losers who are into orcs and tabaxis and stuff. I want some people at the table that have like legitimately killed people. Imagine running one for serial killers. Just grabs the 4
He
most.
does all the time.
Fucking, that's true. That's true. Next
Gotta be
question.
99%.
There's
of
so
TV's
many good jokes
game.
in here. I'm moving on.
Thank you.
The next question is the stage fright question, which very specifically was not copied by me when I collated all of the questions earlier on. So let's see if I can find. I think it was from Keeper. Last week. Keeper, what was your question? Pretty sure it was from Keeper. Gotta get one in there. Yeah, here we go. Did you, from Keeper of the Art, did you or do you still ever get stage open bracket stream question mark close bracket fright question mark? Did you or do you still ever get stage fright? I imagine we're probably all the same on this, but I guess I can answer pretty easily. I used to get real fucking nervous, like specifically for a session 1, like the premiere. Premiere is one. If you go and watch old Tablestory premieres, it's some of the only times you'll actually see me legitimately nervous on the internet. or in front of an audience, you know.
Yeah.
I could be having full-blown panic attacks in front of people and you would never know. I do it a lot. But I like normal legitimate nerves. Session 1 of a show used to get me because there was so much pressure on it and it was so scary. And there's just so much on you, especially in the first beginning parts of a show, and especially how we used to do them. I think when we had a little bit less production going, and really we would just start the stream and be like, okay, let me tell you everything about it. Yeah.
Welcome to
Hi everyone.
Nocturne.
And then you're like, okay, let's begin. Welcome to the world of Lacrin. It is a planet with islands on, and you're just like, it used to get me because you want it to be perfect. That's the thing that would get me. You really want it to be. You're trying to sell everyone. You're trying to make it fun for everyone. And I used to get super, 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 super nervous about it. I've not found that to be the case. I think, weirdly enough, and I don't know if this ties in with my return after I took a little time off between Miss Light and Rota. And I said last week how I just sort of reconnected with my love and passion for the medium. Haven't found that too much. Rota wasn't nervous. The only thing I was nervous about with Rota was obviously there was like some plot twist things and there was some stuff that I needed to go off without a hitch in terms of production and sound and things. But it wasn't like nerves. It wasn't like stage fright. It was just like, I've got to make sure this is correct and it works out well. And I had all of you in the dark about stuff, which is always great. When you're like, your main characters don't know a huge element about the production and you're trying to keep that quiet from them, it's quite nerve-wracking to make sure that doesn't get found out or whatever. But yeah, I have not actually experienced that much nerves at all. There have been, because I've felt like I will get a little anxiety between sessions sometimes, or a lot of the time I think it comes back to the pressure thing we were talking about last week, where some weeks I'm like, oh, there's a lot of pressure to perform next week, or there's a lot of pressure and maybe I'll feel a bit of anxiety about like, oh, I've got this thing to do today. But I don't think that's really stage fright. That's just my own personal mental health issues that will flare up sometimes. But I really don't get that nervous about this anymore. It's really just become something that I feel very comfortable and confident in doing. And I just kind of feel like I hope goes well, more so than the way that I used to feel, which felt legitimately like stage fright and nerves. But yeah, I don't know about you two. Probably Wack has never felt nervous in his life. I don't know.
So in terms of stage fright, I used to be terrified in school of doing oral reports, and I remember when I stopped. And it was I feel like I touched on it a little bit in high school. I had like a couple reports that I just kind of aced. I went up there and I somehow tapped into a part of my brain which I use a lot more frequently now, where I was able to like turn on the charm and perform and like do a performance. And it wasn't about what I had in my report. I was performing. It wasn't about like how well I wrote things. It was how well I was conveying it to the audience. And I realized at some point in between high school and college that I was good at that. I could do the performance, but my report wasn't particularly great, or whatever story I had or what have you wasn't the best. And I was like, oh, I think I'm good at that. And I remember in college, we would get critiqued on all of our art projects. We would get critiqued on everything. And the teachers were harsh. They were fucking brutal. They would make people cry all the time. Every week, somebody was crying, like just destroying their projects. And sometimes
I don't think you were at college, dude. Were you in jail? What the fuck?
No.
They did a term.
Unlocked a memory for me.
Oh shit! You also did a fucking did 6 years.
Art school was fucking bonkers. They were brutal. They were.
I went to art school. It was so nice. I had the best time ever.
We had one of my teachers, my industrial design teacher, effectively would smash people's projects. If you did not listen to the description of what he asked and you went outside the description of what he asked, I watched him smash people's projects.
Dude, sometimes I forget that Whack went to school in 1931.
Yeah.
You know, they were taking
Insane.
canes to the back of his
98.
hand and stuff.
That's crazy.
98.
That is crazy, yeah.
That is madness.
So yeah, everybody would be terrified to turn in their projects.
Yeah, of
And
course.
I remember in my color concepts class, which is effectively color theory, I would write. You would have to explain why you chose the colors and things that you did for the project, and you had to explain your thought process. And my teacher made a comment to me, and she said, "You are really good at writing these descriptions." She's like, "I gotta be honest with you. This project is probably like a B minus, but I'm gonna give you a B plus because the way that you explain this made me understand what you were trying to do. You didn't do it 100% successfully, but I understand what you were trying to do."
Yeah.
And she's like, and that's a very good skill. And that reinforced my brain because everybody was so freaking brutal that I got a positive comment and it stuck with me. And I remembered that, and that was like, oh, I am good at that. I can do this. So that was kind of that point for me where I was just like, all right, I'll have a little confidence in myself now when I do that stuff. So I think it kind of went away at that point.
That's
me.
nice. Yeah,
Wow.
you positively reinforced. Didn't even reinforce. You just re-synapsed that whole thing, which I think is a psychological technique, isn't it?
Yes.
I wouldn't know because I've never fixed anything wrong with me.
There's never been anything wrong.
That's what
Perfect
well
answer.
done. There's nothing wrong with you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What about you, PB? Do you
I will answer that, but you
Okay.
did unlock a core memory for me from high school.
all right. Find out what
the-
that is as the top incentive for
You
next week.
stop. Our chemistry teacher and our AP chemistry teacher was also pretty blunt in the way that he taught, and was kind of, just no shit. And sometimes grades would make people cry. And he had a stuffed animal that he would be like, oh, like he would actually be like, oh, are you crying? Should I get Pookie? Like, should I? And he would bring the stuffed animal down and sit it on your desk if you cried. And it was, yep, it was brutal.
How many times did you cuddle Pookie?
I didn't, actually. That was a period of my life where I did not cry, if you can believe that existed.
I can.
Yep.
I can. Stuff all that shit way down deep.
Mm-hmm.
And now that's why it erupts constantly.
Yep. Pretty much. Now it just won't stop. But in terms of stage fright, I have never experienced stage fright here with with Twitch, really. I'll get nervous, but I have actually experienced stage fright before going on to a stage, and it's really bad, like 2 to 3 minutes before curtain, and then right before I go out, it's gone. It's
Mine's the
literally like
moment
right as
my
I'm
foot
stepping
hits the boards.
Yep.
If I have
Then
to do
it's
some sort
gone.
of public speaking thing, I'm literally just sat behind liquid shit running down my leg, shaking like one of those little charge up dogs.
Yeah.
And then you step onto the boards and you're like, hey, everyone. And you're just
Yeah.
fine.
And
I hate that.
For me, it's as long as I'm actually playing a character. There have been a couple instances where I'm not playing a character and I'm just like performing, I'm singing or doing something, and I couldn't handle that. I was
Yeah, no,
nervous the
that's
whole way
brutal.
through.
Yeah.
And then I was like, ooh, I don't think I like
But you never have
I
it
don't think
before
I like being
shows
myself in front of a bunch of people.
on Tablestory?
I'll get a little nervous.
What about
but I
Stygian?
guess I just. Oh yeah.
That must have been. I feel like
I
you were
was
That was
nervous.
the
very
very
nervous.
first
Yeah.
one.
I'm trying to, like, because I watched
I
it
was nervous
recently.
during Gone and everything
I didn't
as
watch
well
the whole
too.
thing
Like,
because I'm in it. But I watched
yeah.
a
Oh,
good chunk
yeah.
of
Mm-hmm.
a lot of our shows, legacy
Yeah.
shows, because of the
Yeah.
previous thing we did.
Mm-hmm.
And first few minutes of Stygian Gate,
You can tell I'm very
you
nervous.
seem nervous. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think
That's not to just drag you and make everyone go and
no.
look it up or whatever.
That was
but
also the first
That was also
production
the-
that you ran.
you can
Yeah.
go back and watch
Yep.
it again. I bet if you go back and watch
Mhm.
the beginning of Dustfell,
We
I'm
threw-
like,
We threw PB in the deep end. with that.
Yeah.
Well, she
Like,
threw
I
herself.
just-
She offered, to be fair.
No.
No, we
she
threw
was
you.
gonna do just the show, and we produced it, and I was like, no. If you
No,
wanna
no,
do
no.
that's
this,
what
you
you
gotta
did, right.
produce
Yeah.
this.
Ho, bitch, back up. I just wanted to GM for you guys offline. And then Jay was like, oh, no. If we're going to play, we're going to stream it. And I was like, oh, no. I don't want to do that. I just, I just wanted to GM for you guys
I'm
offline.
just letting you know what happened in the conversation before this.
Mhm.
So
I've no
when
memory
Jay
of any
told
of
you,
this.
I remember it all.
Of course he does. I believe him.
The conversation was along the lines of like, PB wants to run this thing for us. And we were talking about like, oh, is this, are we going to do this on the channel? And I was like, yeah, of course. We have to do it on the channel. And I don't think you talked about doing it just offline. I naturally
I did.
assumed. I don't think I remember that.
I do.
I know that was your intention.
The sheer panic when I said, oh, no, like I don't have to. I very distinctly remember Jay being like, or Brad being like, well, we're going to be doing it anyway, so we might as well stream it. And me being like, I don't know how to be like, I don't want to, I'm terrified to do that.
And
the
then we
pure
hit you
panic.
with and you have to
Mhm.
produce it too.
Yep. And then I was like, oh, okay, sure.
Yeah,
And
horrific.
also, I will say I do think that Whack, you reached out to see if I needed help, but I had the spoiler of I had the surprise for you guys midway through, so I couldn't tell you. So I had to just figure that shit out and figure out how to, make that happen. Yeah, I remember that.
I remember it being a thing where you were like, I think it would be cool if you three were
Get to play
in
together.
something.
Yeah. Mhm.
And then a few years later, Cord offered us the same deal.
Yep. Yeah.
And was like, it'd be cool if you three could be in some bullshit. And is it
Yeah.
okay if I invite my weird little friend from Star Citizen to be in a professional Tablestory show? And we were like, yeah, sure. That's not going to work out. That's going to be
I
fucking
investigated
awkward.
Meyer. I investigated
course.
him.
We always
I
do.
went onto Meyer's channel and I was like, I don't know. I think he'll be good because he's got
So it's your
good
fault.
production and stuff. Yeah.
God.
So Whack actually goes and investigates and watches the role play and the production, and Brad and I are on Instagram going, oh, she's got a fucking
Yeah.
Tonberry stuffy. We love her.
That's how we got Leah.
That is 100%.
Isn't it
we're
weird
yep,
how,
thumbs
like-
up to Leah?
How close of friends we've become with these people that were just isn't like, because not everyone I know I can remember the moment I met them, or I sort of know a lot when I think of a lot of people. I'm like, I sort of vaguely remember you coming into my life. I don't remember like the reason, or like it's such an unnatural way to do it through a show like this, to essentially cast someone like Maya or Leah. Then they come in, they're in the show, you're spending a lot of time with them making characters and playing the game every week. There's the before and after shows where we're quite often we'll be talking on the call for a bit, but then they become like very good friends, which is so bizarre, really. I mean, Whack, I met you on a show first, right? We were on a show together. I
Wait,
was
what?
playing that's I think was it Jay that brought, I don't know who introduced us, or how,
No,
or
I
was it
remember
pure
all-
chance?
No, it wasn't. It was we were on Northern Winds on Wolves Go Roars. channel.
Yeah, no, I know, but I don't remember how I was cast onto his show. You had been on it for a good long time, because you all felt like a group of people that had already played,
Mhm.
and I just showed up one week and was like, I'm playing a half elf.
Of course you were.
Yeah.
What was your class?
I was a bard. I played a half elf bard called Chiton Vale, and I think he had an Irish accent.
Chiton Vale.
Yeah.
Chiton Vale.
And he was, I loved him so much, by the way. And then you were playing, I want to say his name was Ozzy the Halfling.
Yep.
Oh, this makes me
Warlock.
so happy.
Warlock.
A warlock?
Yeah.
Made me hate warlocks and never want to play them again. I hate warlocks so much.
And then, what I don't remember is who put me in that show or who I knew. I can't remember.
So
it might have been
it was me
Distracted
that
Elf.
recommended you for that show.
But I didn't know you. Did I know you?
But Peachy did.
Ooh.
Peachy.
Oh, that's how.
Oh.
And then we had, but then that was how me and Jay met you.
Did
I
you-
think
Through
you
that
recommended me to Jay.
And then,
And then
we
Jay
all.
hit me up.
So how did you know Jay, Brad? You can't remember how
This is
you
what I'm
met Jay?
saying. I don't know
Yeah.
how I met half of the people I know
Mm.
because I don't know it's a significant moment in my life until many
Yes,
years
of
later.
course, until after. Yeah.
You know,
That's
so I
fair.
can vaguely remember the time period and like what it was, but it's not like I can go back and be like, oh
Mhm.
yeah, look at this save point.
Yeah. I don't know the save point for you either, Brad. Like I
No,
remember.
I remember. It's the same thing. A vague
Yeah.
area.
You met
of
each
time.
other. You met each other on Identity Crisis.
Yes.
Yes, but
Yeah.
I think that we didn't. Well, because we didn't speak. I mean, we were in character, and I don't think we really.
I just
spoke
was like, hi,
until-
random person. I'm here for a
Mhm.
week.
Yeah, and
You know?
I think I remember complimenting you on your character on Poloculus because I was like, oh man, this is really deep, and I like that you did this and that, and you had a visible reaction
I
to
was
the
disgusted.
compliment. And I went, oh God, he's the same as me, and that was the end of that. I was
Well,
like, I'll
do
never
you-
compliment him again.
The thing is, I didn't know how to compliment back then. I still had no social skills.
Yeah.
I was still a bit
Yeah.
feral. And I do remember that because I remember showing up. The thing is, this is how I remember that whole thing. I showed up. Whack was like, they're all doing superheroes. And I was like, okay. And he was like, what do you want to do? And I was like, I just want to be Superman or Cyclops.
Cyclops.
Yep.
And he went,
Superman and
be both.
Cyclops.
And I went, fine. I said, shall I do a meme voice? And Whack was like, I
Mhm.
couldn't care less about anything you're saying to me.
Yeah.
If you drop dead on this call, I wouldn't call an ambulance, which is how Whack makes characters with you. And I went, okay, yeah. And so I made this character, and then I show up for episode 1 with the worst American accent to a bunch of people who are either American or Canadian, which is close enough to an American accent that it's like painful to listen to one that's bad. And played this character thinking it was just going to be like the dumbest show. Like not the dumbest show, but like really lighthearted and silly.
I mean,
I'm
it
then
was at
placed
times.
into the most intense scene Whack ever ran me through in my history of my life. Because he
Really?
sat me down. Yeah, because I was playing Invincible
remember.
before Invincible came out, and he sat me
Yes.
down in a scene with fucking Omni-Man.
Yep.
With my
'Cause
parents.
I was
Well,
gonna
you
say,
were-
I remember.
And he was like,
you lifting daddy issues in your character.
mine, boy. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh, hey, how are you? Doing the worst accent. And I was like, fuck, what are you doing to me? Like, and I was like looking at all this. So then I'm like, fucking like just, oh my God, the absolute shame
It's
of
my
this.
favorite thing to do is to put people on the spot like that with those kinds
It
of
was brutal. So
situations.
then I had to genuinely like pull the real character out of my arse in that
Yeah.
moment
Yeah.
and actually play him legit. And then you had these other fucking players in this show, right? You, PB, Dan, and Jay's character, Jay almost had the same, I feel like, story arc in the sense that he was like, I'm going to be Kid Canuck. I'm going to be this
Yeah.
like maple syrup Canadian silly
Yeah.
character, and then has this insane arc with his mom and everything.
Yeah.
It was
Yep.
fucking crazy.
Yeah.
And it was so deep and so interesting. And the
Really,
way
really
that
good show.
the synergy on that show and the acting from certain players in certain scenes and stuff was unbelievable, right? So I'm sat there, I felt hollow. I was so embarrassed I was sat there just dressed like a dickhead, acting like a prick on this show, thinking it was going to be silly. I've showed up with the most half-assed character with these RADA-trained fucking actors. They were on stage performing Macbeth, and I'm there at the corner like, "Whoa, pooey meme," you know, like just the most embarrassing thing, you know. And then at the end of it, PB goes, "That was really good. I really enjoyed your performance." And I thought
Yeah.
it was really, like, I really enjoyed the way that you did this, that, and the other. And I was like, fuck off.
Well,
fuck
it
off.
was good.
No,
You-
because
you-
it was literally like, it was like imagine like think in your head of like the worst YouTuber or TikTok, the annoying person who's not an actor. And then Denzel Washington goes, really great work. And you're like, oh, he's just being nice. Because this...
Yeah, I do think that you disliked me when we first
Oh,
met.
it wasn't
because
dislike for you. It was
Yeah.
devastating embarrassment that this incredible performer,
Okay.
compared to me, I'm not saying you're...
Still too close. Still too close. Still too nice.
But that was the thing that happened to me, is I was like just so devastated. And I remember then when I went away, I don't think I was on it for a couple of weeks, and then I came back again. And I spent those 2 weeks, I went and did acting classes. I got I got a diploma in
Rocky Four montage.
in character acting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, it was great. It was horrible. So that was what my visible reaction was embarrassment for myself. That because because the thing is, I also remember just being so impressed by you and the others on that show, and that's why I was like, man, she's really good. We should keep her around.
Yeah,
We should keep her around. Do you want to be in
Darkfire after
Darkfire?
that? Yeah. That's the first time I really remember talking to you, like out of a show and out of character, is that you called and I was like, I've had bad experience with D&D and I'm
Yeah.
not sure that I would be the best.
I remember
in a,
that. Yeah.
in a
yeah.
I
setting-
don't
in
think
a
we
D&D
had
setting. And you went, well, do you know Final
really
Fantasy?
hesitant about being in
I
D&D.
was. Yeah, I was
Really.
Yeah.
really hesitant.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which was
Um,
devastating. I was like, I mean, it's I don't even run
well,
D&D.
you
the only thing I run.
You said, you were like, do you know Final Fantasy? And I have scrolled up to look at our first conversation.
Oh God, how
The
could
way
you do that?
our level of chill is hilarious to me.
Really?
But I was just kind of like, yeah, I know Final Fantasy. Like, I didn't just immediately go, it was my life for like, however long. I didn't lose my shit, but I was like,
Yeah.
okay, I'll give it a go. And yeah.
Well, it was 2017, man. That was
best
like
decision ever.
7 years ago,
Yeah.
which
it
is
was a long
pretty
time ago.
nuts.
Mhm,
Uh,
mhm. Now, before we move away from this topic,
Yeah.
I need a historian to go find the episode where Brad comes in as Poloculus. It might be the second time that he comes in. There's a scene in front of a mirror that I still remember being like shocked by. Go find it, please,
I
and
don't
give me the
even remember
timestamp so I can watch it again. But yeah, I think that's the one where I was like, man, that was incredibly
I
good,
skipped
'cause I
all of
just-
the Poloculus scenes during my rewatch.
Yeah, of course.
I remember the thing that got me was when the hero, I can't remember the hero's name, died, and you were
Yeah,
sort of left
um,
with the aftermath.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was
You gave
when
me
you
the-
messaged me and you were like, "Fuck you, bro."
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
the
You
fuck
did it to
have
me a
you
couple
done to me?
times on that show, where I had this ridiculous character who I was like, I'm just there to be foil for everyone else. It doesn't matter. And you gave me these like incredibly pivotal and important character arc moments where the weird thing for me is Poloculus went through such a full character arc, and I was only in a few episodes.
Yeah.
It was nuts.
It was
I was
really
like, that
good.
is crazy. He has a closer. I was in the penultimate episode as well, where they're trying to stop the. I don't want to spoil anything, to be honest, so
Yeah.
I'm just going to say it was a big moment.
Trying to stop the bad guy.
Yeah, Poloculus had like a whole trial that he had to do by himself, when everyone was like cheering him on in the stands. You
Yeah.
had the thing with my parents being the legacy thing. You had the thing was where you had one of the major heroes die, and then Poloculus was just there. It's that Cyclops cover where he's holding the thingy and his eyes are going fucking crazy. It was
so
nuts.
excited for
It was
that
nuts.
show because that was the first time that I had the idea to use a video game to build the world. When I
good.
did City Skylines, and I was like, "Oh, I love this game." I was like, "Dude, I could build fucking Halcyon City with City Skylines." And I was like, "That would be really fun."
I forgot about that entirely until I went to
Do
watch
you
it
know
recently.
how insane I was doing shit right up until the show started.
Yep.
Production wise for that, I was literally rendering things in fucking like After Effects and Premiere while the show was live.
I've done that a
While it
couple
was
times.
live.
It is scary.
I did it 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I'm like, oh, everything's going to crash. I was like, everything's going to stop on screen and it's going to be horrible.
And you've got city skylines running and stuff.
Yes.
It's
City Skylines
crazy.
running. Yes.
It was so good.
It was so good. And it was
have
like
very, very fond memories of that show.
it's really like when you look back at it, like it's one of those things. You know how we always say, like often people will hear us talking about Tablestory and how it's grown and the steps and levels it's taken. That's like one of them. Like it's one of those things where I'm looking at like, oh yeah, look at this fucking shit map I drew on a napkin, and then Wax like, I made the whole of city, my entire Halcyon City in city skylines, and I'm like, oh you fucker. Now I've got to do
Chat
something.
participated. Chat made stuff and put it in the game.
Yeah.
They actually made stuff on Steam. Like they made the arcade and that kind of shit.
It's crazy.
And I subscribed to the thing on Steam and put it in the game.
Yep. I imagine that I based most of how I produced Nocturne based on Identity Crisis, right? Because that was my gauge for what you guys did on the channel, right? So that and Darkfire, those were the 2 things I was doing before I ran Stygian and Nocturne. But
Yeah.
I do remember thinking to myself, Whack, like how cool and creative it was. and
Just
stuff
out
that
of the
you did
box
for
thinking,
Identity
just
Crisis.
like using
and I liked it,
weird
and I was like,
tools.
This is so fucking fun. And I also remember thinking to myself, like, this is what it feels like to have your backstory be appreciated or your character be appreciated by a GM in a way in which, because Whack does this thing where, you come to the table with your character and he's very like, kind of stone faced, like, oh, okay. You do this too, Brad, actually, where you're just kind of, yep.
I don't
you
want to
take that.
influence people.
Yep. And then you go away.
Whack just
and
doesn't
you-
give a shit.
You fucking Whack tied the main plot in with Jay's backstory and all this other stuff. And every other D&D game that I had ever been in, it was always like, it's your backstory and you'll do a side quest for it. Yeah, but
If you're lucky.
you did it in Darkfire too, and it really shook me when it happened in Darkfire that you tied the backstories in with the main
great.
plot. Yep.
Well,
it was
that
really good.
that to be fair was a little bit of an afterthought because I think like 2 of you made characters that had that indentured servitude in your backstory, and I was like, that's what Hasmol is. That's the point of this.
Yeah.
That's what Darkfire is as well. Then
We all did, really.
and then you
Yeah.
and then
Yep.
so I started writing it in more,
Yes.
and
I
then
didn't even think
I
about
got
that, but
2 more
19 did too.
characters because I don't think we all made them at the same time.
Nope.
So then I
didn't do
got
a
like
session
2
0.
more, and all 4 of you had the theme of some form of like servitude or indentured servitude in your character backstories, which was part of the story of the theme of what I was going with Hasmol, because the point of Darkfire is that you're given this quest and it's like, do you save the world? But you are once
I
again
was actually wondering that.
brought back into, you're
Mhm.
almost enslaved because he gives you the branding. It was
Mhm.
very Final Fantasy 13 inspired with the Lassie storyline, but he's like, he gives you a brand and he's like, you are the only ones who can save the world, but you work for me now again. And
Yeah.
it's like, it's a trolley problem, basically. And I really wanted to
always
explore that,
wondered
but
if you developed the plot and the idea for Darkfire, or if you saw all of our backstories and twisted something to make it.
no, I had it in
perfect.
place because I
Damn,
wanted,
that's haunted stuff there. That's crazy.
well, originally, the villains of the piece were 3 individuals. I don't know if people are watching it, so I won't spoil too hard, but I combined 2 of them into one. But there was that story of servitude for a country and going to war and then coming home and not respecting veterans of war, right? Which I've always found to be very interesting outside of, in real world political, we do it now. Just that horrible approach to the whole how we treat our veterans thing. And I was like, I just want that quietly in the background ticking over. And it's the the catalyst that sets it off. You have this commander who creates this group of bandits and brigands because he's like, well, they took all the money that was supposed to look after us for winning their war for them, and they gave it to a neighboring city because the neighboring city came in and saved us. And now we're all just starving and we have families and stuff. And they were like, some of them were first generation, some were second generation. And I was like very interested in that because that's almost an indentured servitude thing where you're promised all of this stuff. You're told, oh, well, you're going to be respected and loved. And then you win the war for this country. And then they just go, thank you, see ya. And they don't care. They don't look after you. And then you have this huge godlike being that does the same thing to you guys. And all of you then made these characters
That's crazy.
that had the same thing in
That's
there.
crazy.
And I was like, I can just pull on that on each of these character strings. And it just became like a theme that was so solidly entrenched in that. But it was pure chance. And I probably like leaned on those character backstory elements because I'm sure there were other things in your character backstories that I could have pulled from too. But yeah, that's how that worked out, which is nuts. We're off on such a tangent here.
Yeah. But it's all right.
We got time.
So stage fright,
That's true. Yeah, we don't.
Well, we answered that one. So we could move into pacing or mystery, right? That's the next one.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if we're not talking about it while it's on the screen. We will just get to it during the time. Yeah, I think the next question was mystery and pacing. So this was Bro as well, I believe. Bro the boss. How do you make a mystery in a campaign unravel at a good pace? So I think there's two questions in here that he doesn't know it. How do you make a mystery in a campaign unravel at a good pace? This is a cluster bomb of a question because how do you make a mystery? How do you make a good mystery? Mm-hmm. How do you unravel it at a good pace? They can all be separate questions, I think, in here. And also, I think pacing in general is a thing to be aware of before you even take on a question like this. I think PB should answer first, though, because I think you are more experienced in this. You run a lot of mystery box campaigns.
You do. That's most of your
This is a lot of questions. It's not like I'm not saying that me and Wack couldn't do it, but I think that you're the go-to.
You both do it. Okay. Well, that's a tough question. Okay, how do you create a mystery? Was that where we're starting?
How do you make a mystery in a campaign unravel at a good pace is the question. So how would you answer that, I guess?
I think
she's making it unravel at she's sort of making this unravel at a good pace for us. She's luring us in. She's making us question what she's going to say.
There might be two separate ways to look at it.
Very slowly answering.
Like if you were to be only doing it at a table with your players, then the answer is really easy. You just watch your players and see when they're struggling or what information they're picking up on, what they're missing, what they say they're going to do. It's happening a lot in Deathless right now, right? Where they're like, oh, I think we need to do this. They'll tell you exactly what they're missing and what they need. By the wrong direction they're going in sometimes, where they're like, oh, I feel like we need this information and that information. And I think probably the biggest trick is to not fall into the trap of answering them when they're like, oh, I don't know what this is and I don't know what that is. Just shut the fuck up and they will figure it out. They will figure it out. They're going to be confused for a while. But I think there's always a moment where you go, oh, okay, I see. They're going way in the wrong direction. And so I need to put something here that will guide them back to the direction that they need to be in to get the answer that they need so that they, come to the reveal or the conclusion. In terms of unraveling at a good pace, I think I just naturally try to put something in every, other episode or so where there's just a little tiny morsel so that they can be reminded that there's a mystery or a puzzle to be solved. And I think they do that in TV too, where if they go off track and, they're doing something, then you throw something in. And Wack used a term the other day that I don't normally do. I say actionables, but what did you say, Wack?
Oh, well, no, this is something you say all the time is beats.
Beats. Yeah. Okay, so beats or actionables where you go, okay, this little morsel doesn't need to happen in this specific spot. It can happen anywhere. For example, Kyle, the hand in Deathless. That can happen fucking anywhere. There are certain things that I think need to be in place so that you understand his reveal, but it could have happened at that apartment. It was better that it happened where it happened because they got more information, but you know, something like that can happen at any time. So I think little tiny reminders every once in a while if they're getting off track is a way to remind them. But yeah, I think in terms of a show, for pacing, I don't know. I wing it and I go on instinct. I try to hit the 2.5 hour mark, and then just fucking cross my fingers and pray that they'll figure it out in a reasonable amount of time.
I think some of that winging is that previous answer though, because you're feeling them out naturally.
Yeah.
You'll feel players be like, I can't be bothered to do this anymore, and you're like, okay, it's over then. Here is some more morsels or something. You know,
Yes,
you can do stuff like that.
Like if they're getting frustrated that they don't have answers or something like that, and you know it's not a fun frustration, because there are certain people, and Brad was just talking about this with Dying Order, who love getting, you know, like, ooh, I don't know this puzzle and I want to try to figure it out and whatnot. And then there is the point of I've hit a wall with solving this puzzle and I'm frustrated, and that's the moment when you would come in as a GM with more answer for them or a bigger clue so that they can take that and then go, okay, now I know what to do. But if I remember correctly, and I'm shocked that I was able to do this in Nocturne because I didn't know any of those players when I started that show. If I remember correctly, multiple times during that show in the beginning, Zeke was like, I have no fucking clue what's going on. And like, you know, I every time we get one piece, we just get another question and none of it makes sense. And I feel like I would have probably panicked at that point and been like, okay, well, I better give them some answers. But for some reason, I just didn't. And I trusted that they would get there in the end. And when they did, it's like, you know, there's like a player joy of like, holy shit, it all makes sense. And I was there for the whole process. And I wasn't given an answer. I figured it out. My character figured it out. And I think it's worth the struggle and the wait. And so sometimes it takes a long time. And sometimes you as a GM go, oh my God, this is going to take forever for them to figure it out. But they're having fun. So it doesn't matter. You know the answer. So for you, it's like, oh my God, this is taking 9 weeks for this reveal to hit. No one else notices because they don't know they're waiting for anything. So stick it out, I guess, is my answer for that. Did that work? Was that cohesive?
No one knows.
Awesome.
Wack, you were going to say something in there as well?
So I think, and I'm going to embarrass
it was
PB
cohesive
here, and she's going to hate me.
Oh, God.
But yeah, PB's the best at that stuff.
Cool, awesome.
She is.
Easy.
There we go. Got her. Yeah. So PB is excellent at paying attention to everybody on the show, and I know that sounds like a simple thing, but you all have to understand how much production we have going on during a show. It's so hard to keep track. Like, I'm pretty good with micro expressions. If I'm paying attention to you, I can see when something bothers you. But when we're doing a show, I have to oftentimes cover up the cameras to bring something else up onto the screen. And like, I'll miss stuff all the time.
I'm doing it right now.
Yeah.
I'm literally doing a thing right now.
We got rule books. We got notes.
Y'all are insane. I never cover the players. What?
Yeah. Well, there you go. That's probably why she put her at it than us, Brad.
They're fucking full.
What do you mean by
screen
covering the players?
So here's an example. Depending on what show I'm doing, but when I'm GMing, I will have the cameras on my main monitor, and I'm constantly flipping back on my main monitor from Foundry or Roll20 or rule books. I've constantly got that stuff up, and I'm cycling it usually go through whatever I need to look at. My main monitor has the most activity out of all the other screens. My right monitor will typically have the camera that the audience sees for whatever scene is going, and it will also have just the stream info on like whatever browser. I'm making sure the stream is still connected for whatever reason, whatever. Twitter and Blue Sky are on there. And then on my left monitor, I have OBS, I have the chat, and I have Discord. Discord's like really small. But yeah, that main monitor, I'm psyched. I've got like a million things, so the camera gets covered up all the time. I try my best to keep it up as much as possible, but
no, I have that as well. That's what you mean by covering up the camera. I just wanted to make sure you didn't mean like you were blacking out screens or something. No, I don't like to have the camera covered, but I tell you another thing that will happen a lot is I will pull up the tabs for our audio and the cameras in the same thing. So if I'm watching audio, then my camera's covered, so I don't see them at all.
I do that.
Yeah.
So like I've got the video tab or whatever, and it's open, but I put clean feed over my camera, so I don't have to see myself.
That's
but it
smart.
works.
I put this stupid.
Perfect.
I put this stupid bar of stuff over my camera. But there's
remove the like.
It's hard when you are like spamming out like the next scene, or you're having to prep something, or there's something quietly going wrong. Do you know? Like a lot of the time, there's something quietly going wrong. Like there will just be like a song that's supposed to be playing right now, and it's not, and I don't know why.
Nothing's happening, or I went to go get this file and it's not here.
It's not there.
They're role playing, and have a straight face while I am slightly rushing to get this thing done. Yeah. So
and then you glance back over at them, and you're like, "Why are they all pulling that face?"
Yeah.
You know, and you're like, "Fuck."
Something has happened. Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah.
I missed something. They just asked me a question,
and everyone's waiting. And
you're like, 20. What did you roll?
Yeah.
They're like, huh?
Could you say that again for me?
Yeah, you got to
What was
throw
the
them off.
question exactly?
It's just so awkward because you're the
Usually
one
I'm
that's
just honest
ruined the
about it.
flow. That's the thing I hate.
Yeah, but I've noticed that I think all of us do that and go, I'm so sorry. I was doing a production thing. Say that again.
Yeah. It is a horrific place to be. What did this have to do with mystery and pacing? How did we get here?
So covering up the cameras and that kind of stuff.
Right,
We were
yeah,
talking
because
about
you're
this
watching the
monitor.
players.
Yeah.
I would love to just be able to watch player expression and nothing else. Because I eat that up as well. It's very important to me that I'm like checking everyone's engaged or feels like, you know, they're having fun. Because I have I'll just destroy the entire scene and move on to the next thing if everyone in the scene feels like they're just bored, or the players just seem like, you know, they just don't give a shit. I'll be like, oh, the key that you were looking for, it's on the ground now. I don't care, because if you're not having fun, I'm not having fun. I literally don't care. I don't care if it took me 3 weeks to build this thing. I'll throw it out. Just move on. And I think that is a key thing. But I think that's good GMing as well, though.
Yeah.
Not everyone, I think, is as capable of doing that kind of thing. Just feeling out players' reactions and feeling out people's... Some people are just young. Some people are just terrible at figuring out what facial expressions are what. But I do think that is a really good one for that mystery pacing thing. I agree. I think PB is the master of it. Which is why I came to you for the first answer. In fact, really, I was like, I'll just get PB to answer it, because why do we even need to bother? It was my quiet... I was trying to just, you know, let everyone know that PB's the master of this without saying it, so that she doesn't just vanish from the screen. But I do think that the mystery box style of storytelling is something that PB, I know me and you enjoy a lot.
Yes, yeah. So
I've
that's
never
the other
heard...
thing too. It's my favorite type of media.
Right.
When I'm watching and there's a puzzle for me, the viewer, to solve, as well as the characters.
You get to theory craft week to week. You get to sit and really just let your brain stew. It's not giving you the answer at the end of the episode. They're not spoon feeding you what this means. You have to figure it out, or you're rewarded with the answers at the end of the series or something like that. Which I think is another thing. That's another, like, I think that's a good alternative to, instead of just feeling out your players, it's setting up lots of little milestones throughout your campaign of a mystery, a question mark element, something weird happens. An example would be in the show Lost, there's just a polar bear for no fucking reason, as far as you can tell at first. And you go, what the fuck is that? What the fuck was that? And everyone is obsessed with it. What was this crazy thing that happened here? And you just go, whoa, I don't know. But it is a piece of a puzzle. And then throughout the series, you slowly pepper in lots of these mystery boxes. I think a key thing that you have to make sure you're doing is that you are also providing answers every now and then.
Yes, absolutely.
You don't have to give the answer to the entire puzzle, but just some answers to some of the mystery boxes. So you present these little boxes of mystery, and then and that's throughout your entire campaign plan, from like session 1 all the way to whatever you've got planned for your big finale with the big bad evil guy or something. You have these little mysteries, but I also think it's very important that you do get those answers in, which is why it's frustrating when you present something like Mistlight, which was a bunch of mystery boxes, and then you start opening them. I started opening them. Only the last few episodes of that, I was like, bam, there's the answer. Bam, there's the answer. And I was like, this now is just all of the answers to all of these boxes you've collected along the way, with all of these question marks above them. But that, I think, is another good way of telling a mystery and pacing it in a fun way, is just placing lots of mini mysteries and questions and varying random little things. Good examples of this in TV are Lost. Obviously, Lost gets a little bloated in the middle, but Lost is a good example of it. Westworld season 1 does it really well. And there's a new show called Severance that does it really well. Dark.
I haven't seen it yet. Dark is really good.
Severance is this shit, PB, by the way.
I know. I downloaded it. I have it. I'm ready to watch it.
Yeah.
But I just haven't started it yet. I'll start
Time
it
to
tonight.
start. So yeah, just go now.
Do it. She's fucking crazy.
But it's exactly this, where they provide you lots of little mystery boxes, lots of mystery, and they let you try and figure it out for yourself. But then they also provide you the answers so that you get rewarded for your theory crafting, whether you were right or wrong. And the fun is that exploration of that. But I think that's another good way of telling a mystery style thing. We have unlocked the PB show trailer.
Yes.
Are we ready for this?
Shall we watch it?
Let's watch it. So again, this is the show that PB will be running here on Fridays. Basically, in place of this, in a few weeks from now, it's PB's answer to non-canon. It's not the same thing or anything. It's completely original stuff, but it's the same. That's what this is for, in case you were wondering, because I think it's a little bit confusing that we keep changing the show every week. I just want everyone to know. It's not like PB being like, this is my new show. It starts in June. It's Blade Runner 2 Into the Nocturne Blades. All right. I hope this works when I click this button. Here it is. You've unlocked it. Thank you so much for the tips tonight, everyone. PB's show trailer. Did that in 20 minutes this morning.
No, okay, that's extreme. It was way longer
Genuinely
than that,
so
but-
good.
34 minutes this morning.
I'm
Way
excited.
longer than
I'm excited for several things about it. What can we say about it?
Whatever you like, because I think I know more than you do at this point. Oh, that's not true. Say whatever
I think
you want.
it's a very this has been a very interesting process for making a show. But I just want to. I'm really looking forward to one being a player in D&D.
Yeah.
I don't get to play D&D. Every now and then I'll get to play in something, but it's often a different system. 2, PB's running D&D. Running D&D 5e. I don't know if
She's
you're
been
using
studying nonstop.
I don't
knows
know.
it.
Are you using like new
Mhm.
rules? I don't know if you can actually.
No.
I don't think you can
Nope.
yet.
I
Too
know.
early. Slightly too early.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be legit. And so that is in
I'm pretty excited.
2 weeks, in 3 weeks, in 4 weeks. It's on the 7th of March.
7th. It's about 2.5 weeks, something like that.
And that will be the Friday show through March. It probably won't continue through into April, but honestly, we've been trying. It's very hard to schedule this Friday night slot. It's so difficult to do. It has almost already killed us, but we are very grateful that you're enjoying these shows and that you are not only doing that but funding them. So yeah, that trailer looks amazing. Now I don't know if you want to say anything or you just want to leave it there.
Mystery pacing. I'm just going to leave it there.
Mystery pacing. Okay, well I have a question for us, which is a secret question underneath this one, because otherwise this whole section is just a 2-second trailer. And this one is from...
We've never had to fill time before.
We have one moderator in the channel called Keeper of the Art, who we took a question from earlier on. And if we don't take a question from the other moderator, they start bickering. They're like siblings. They start getting angry with each other. They start scratching. They start biting. They start pulling hair. So I had to take a question from Piranha Plant here as well, who says, around the table, I love how he's presented this. Around the table, spend a few moments each picking your favorite show of the other two. Elaborate why you find the show good. Elements, themes, storytelling, etc.
Wow. Okay.
Was there bits that you wanted to emulate or build upon? Did they nail a story beat? Maybe the music was so good that it forced you to write down ideas. Bonus points.
ChatGPT wrote this.
Bonus
No,
points
just
if
kidding.
you get them to squirm.
Ooh.
And I will, just because this is pretty long, I will put this in our group chat as well.
Oh, thank you.
Does anything pop into mind for either of you two?
Let me read it.
Let's see, for shows that each of you have run, I would say were we on these shows?
Well, it just says each
It just says
favorite show of
favorites,
the
so
other
I
two.
think
Okay.
it could be.
Okay.
It does make it more difficult if you were in it.
Yeah. Also, thank you so much for the subs. Much appreciated. I would say my favorite show that PB's run is Gone. Because I was not in it. And she asked me to be in it. She asked me to be in it, and I was like, I think I'm wrong for that show. And she read that as, Whack hates me, doesn't want to be in my show. I hate him as well.
It's the worst film.
And
Not at all.
The truth of the matter was, she presented the show, and I was like, I thought about it, and I was like, I don't think I'm right for this. And she didn't present it the way that she ran it either.
Yep. What I should have done is I should have pushed him and been like, trust me, I think you are. And originally,
I'm still happy that I was not on it.
yes.
And that
Well,
I think it was
fun
good without
fact,
me.
it ended up being rule of threes because fun fact was that the 3 was supposed to be 4, right? The Blake and Autumn and Dex and then you were supposed to be in there. So when you were like, no, I just went, oh, okay, instead of filling it, I went, we'll just do the 3 then. And it was rule of threes and it was perfect. It's just like, how it ended up was wonderful. But yeah, I there are times where I will like be awake at 3 a.m. and I'll go, man, I should have just told him like, I really think it's your shit.
It was a great show.
It was, but I just, like I make shows for people, like I make shows with people in mind. And so, sometimes I'm like, would it have spoiled it if I had, pushed him a little bit? But yeah, anyway.
Yeah. So I would say for me, it was Gone for you. And why did I find that show good? I found it good because I was interested from start to finish. I watched every episode and I felt like every person's story was interesting and I really liked the world. And the system was not for me, but I loved watching other people play it. I felt like I would have gotten frustrated with that system if I was playing it, because I don't like, when I'm GMing, I don't necessarily like a lot of crunch in the systems that I'm running. As a player, I like to have options and I like to make my characters feel interesting, maybe do some outside the box things. But sometimes when you have systems that are really open and they're like, they don't have a lot of rules, they don't have a lot of stuff, I almost feel like I'm more, I'm more inflexible almost. And I know that's a weird thing to say, but when you have this open system, sometimes it's like, I don't know what direction I want to take my character, and it's difficult for me to expand on the ideas that I have. If I have some game elements that are like, oh, here's this, you have this spell or you have this ability or whatever, I can expand on that and I say, they have that spell because of this. They do this because of this. And I can piggyback off of that many times. But when I watched everybody on the show, I was like, they're doing that with this, and I'm glad I'm not on it because I don't think I would do it the same way. And I feel like it would have been probably a bad performance from me. So that, and I feel like it was a situation where PB had 850 people on a show and somehow made it all work, which is impossible. No human beings can do this. What the fuck? I still have no idea how PB's able to do that with so many different people on a show. It boggles my mind. Yeah, that's that. And then elements, theme, storytelling, etc. Were there bits you wanted to emulate or build upon? So I don't know if I did. I feel like it was very tight. I feel like you did the right amount of episodes and it was just kind of very concise.
Best compliment of all time. Jay,
It's
you have
tight.
no idea.
Don't be so
Don't make it weird.
crass.
Don't make it weird.
No, it just, there wasn't anything extraneous. It didn't feel like that. And I hate it when writers do that. I hate it when I fail like with my storytelling sometimes, where it's like something will go too long or whatever, and it's like, I didn't need that bit. I should have just cut that part out. It's like editing, right? Editors are not as well respected as they should be for a lot of media, because editors can make or break a story. And I think that show was edited brilliantly. I mean, he just did it really well. The music was great. Peachy did the music for that. He did an amazing job. As far as like, I think it inspired me a little bit with like how I could start a story as well, because you started the story with giving the players very little information. You gave them, you're like, just trust me. Do this, make a human being that you want to make, and don't worry about anything else. Don't read the book.
Yep.
You can read
We
it
weren't
later.
even allowed to read the book.
Yep. Yep.
Well, because the book spoils it for you. Big
Yeah.
time.
It would have done,
Yep.
yeah. I get it, but it was crazy to me.
Yeah.
And then
It was some real out of the box thinking.
I don't know if I would, for that show I had to do it, but I don't know if I would do it again. It was very scary. Worked
Brad?
out for Dawn.
for Brad, I would say my favorite thing that you've done is Rhoda, because number one, I forced you to fucking do that show.
I know. The guns that I had to the back of my head for that show.
He was in absolute panic, but it really did come from a place in my heart where I pushed you to do that, because I thought, number one, I thought you'd nail it. Number two, I thought that you were really like you were just dying, like, and I was like, what is the thing that helps me when I'm at rock bottom or dying or whatever? And it's usually like taking my mind off of it, being around with friends or working really hard. That's the only way to really push through it, because if you sit there and you stew in your own, fucking horrible feelings, you can get through it, but it's a nightmare, man. It's just horrible. So I was like, I think this would be really good. And I remember talking to PB about this, and I was like, I think Star Wars this would be really good for him.
And I was like, but he's dying.
Yeah. And I was like, I did that, and when you did it, you presented the show in such a beautiful cinematic way.
Disgusting.
That was again very tight. You had it down to you wanted to hit some beats. You did it, and you did it well, and that was it. You were done. The show's over. It's good. We're done. And I think that you nailed the music. You nailed the sound effects. You went out of your way to redo all that stuff. You had some amazing plot twists, and you could tell how passionate you were about it. And whenever any of us are super passionate about the story that we are writing, it's so much better than everything else. And I think it was for this. I think you came into Star Wars and you're like, I can't fuck this up. I don't want to fuck this up. I love this IP, and it meant a lot to you. And I could tell. And I think that cinematic element where you were like, I want this to feel like a movie or a series was just, you nailed it. You guys
are going to hate the next thing I run. The horrific reduction.
No.
Everything you just said that you liked about Rota is not going into the next campaign. No, you're right. I mean, that was pretty much how I approached the whole thing. I really did just try, But it for me, the thing that's weird with that show that is different from everything I've ever run is that I actively approached it like it was a TV show or a movie, which I've never really done with these things before, because I don't ever want to take away too much player agency if I'm just being a producer. Because you can amp up the production level over and over. I could hand out, beats and notes and story milestones that you want players to hit and stuff. But I'm a big fan of the kind of the random element and the board game element of things like D&D and stuff. And Rota, the system that we used for that was the Genesis or the Fantasy Flight Games system. And that was
both
kind
so
of
scared of that.
Oh God, it is
Wars.
so scary. It's quite crunchy because everything sci-fi is, because you have to calculate ships and stuff, and it's a nightmare.
Once you get the hang of it, though, it's really cool. And the fact that we were using Roll20 made it easy.
I think the thing that saved us was
overwhelming.
Was Roll20, because the dice aren't numbered. they have emblems, logos, little symbols on them that signify things like successes or crits and things, and that's really hard to figure out when you've never looked at this system before. So I think that was probably the hardest thing about that. But yeah, I really enjoyed running that, and I was actually proud of it. I don't say I'm proud of a lot of stuff I've ever done, but I actually came out of that and was relatively well pleased with it.
It was also the only Tablestory show aside from Magical Kitties and like some one shots that you actually didn't do D&D.
Yeah.
I know.
That's a good point.
Yeah, I there always has to be a banana in the banana stand. Whatever that phrase was. We literally covered it last week.
There's always money in the...
That's not even it.
Yep.
There always has to be a Lannister at Casterly Rock.
Yep, there you go.
Yeah, I to piggyback off of what Wax's saying, just before PB can escape, because I want to say that the two shows of PBs that I get stuck between for this question from Piranha is Gone being the first one, but it's hard to say because I was in that. But one of the good things about being in a PB show, and this is not going to sound like a compliment, but is that you will quite often spend a lot of time away from the other players in the show. Sometimes she does a thing where she doesn't always have the party together from the beginning, and you don't just go on all of your quests together. Quite a lot of the time you'll stay away from them. And with Gone, and this has happened with a few of my characters in your shows, but with Gone, she just started us off in these little areas completely miles apart from each other, and you quest to find everyone else, and eventually in a lot of these shows, the way, I don't know if you do this on purpose, but quite a lot of the time everyone comes together for a huge finale where you do have your 853 players all together for some sort of closer, and it's cool. It's a really great way to sort of close out any story, I think, to do that. And I don't know if this is your old school fantasy book style. It's like very Wheel of Time type shit. But one of the benefits of that when you're a player is that you actually do get to watch quite a lot of the show because you're just behind the scenes. You're in a green room watching everyone else play and enjoying it just the same as you might be if you're viewing it. So for me, obviously, I hate every moment of Gone that I'm in, but every moment of Gone that I'm not in was a great watch. That's because I'm in it, though. I just think I want to echo what Wax said, really. It's just that I think that show was... I feel like you produced Nocturne and really learned how the fuck to do this.
Yeah, most of Nocturne was in Roll20 with the music. That blew my mind.
Nocturne is obviously the masterpiece, and I think spawned, like the PBU stuff. Stygian did kind of, but really it was Nocturne, and that is so intriguing and so interesting, and you've been able to still draw from that in so many different interesting ways. But I feel like it was from a production standpoint maybe, or just from an experience of running these shows standpoint. Nocturne, you sort of cut your teeth, and then Gone, you were just like, this is how you do it, and then you went bam and you just smashed it.
I had like a cinematic intro like every week for Gone. I think like there was something new going on.
It was crazy.
There
was so much in that
production.
There was so much in it, and obviously, and then with Gone it would change and there would be flips and switches. It was crazy. And it felt so cohesive even though you were doing that. It was nuts. It was really interesting to watch, and it was really great to watch someone really do something unique and interesting and just watch you go, I'm not going to just run D&D with some dice. I'm going to do this weird shit. And if everyone hates it, we'll find out. But actually it was super interesting, super innovative, and I think it taught me in Whack. We were like, fuck man, we got to step up our game. This is mental. We either have to step up our game or assassinate her here and now. This is crazy.
It was too expensive.
But I think Gone is a masterpiece in presenting how to do this in a unique and interesting way, and also showcasing what you're good at. I think you always showcase what you're good at in things that you run. But I also want to say, here's the thing. Gone, I agree with everything Wax said. But Ungodly 2 was exactly the same thing. It was fucking nuts, dude. Ungodly 2 showing up on the screen, and you had these little fucking Punch and Judy puppets, but in a modern fucking way, in this digital way, was crazy good. Like, just so... I don't even know how you thought of it. Like, it seems so simple to look at all these VTubers and PingTubers around that are doing all this over the last few years and just be like, what if we put them all in a little fucking Punch and Judy set and and we get these fucking idiots and we get all these really funny, hilarious and brilliant improv players
who also have a very good technical mind.
They all know exactly what they're doing. They've been in this game. They know what's going on, and you just put them in there, and you just went, here's a playground, and I've created this perfect little stage for you to bring out these little dolls and puppeteer them.
I had a chest of props, which were just like little prop things that they could use around with their hands and stuff like that we never even touched. It was like 100 items in the toy chest, I called it. But they didn't need it, but it was me over prepping out of panic, right? Yeah. So.
But it was just it was so innovative. Ungodly 1 was really interesting to watch because I think that maybe was your first, just like, I'm going to do something that's silly and pure comedy, and I'm going to use this strange system to do it.
Well, I wrote a horror show for that. And then I went, oh, God damn it, guys. I did it again. I wrote a horror show. And then I walked away being like, I got in this trap of like, I don't want people to think the only thing I can do is horror or Nocturne.
So you Evil Dead
whatever.
3'd it.
So I remember prepping that trailer and being, because the teaser for the first Ungodly was like metal as fuck. And I was expecting people to be like, oh, here she comes back with a new horror show. And then episode 1 was just, or the other 2 trailers that came out after that were just absurd.
Yeah.
Monty Python style in hell. Yeah. So
it was great. It was really fun to watch. But I think there's a particular level of innovation with Ungodly 2 that is just like, it's just unmatched. It's crazy. It's one of those things where I'm just like, God damn, that's brilliant. It's so simple. It's so fucking simple. It's obviously, from a production standpoint, it is not simple. It's a nightmare.
Yeah, not at all.
But the execution and the idea and just, as long as you can figure out how to do it, which you did, it is just so good and so effective. And I just thought it was brilliant. It's just amazing. Yeah. It's one of the greatest things we've ever run. And it is nothing like anything we've ever run. There was no dice. There was no fucking game. It was just you just went, here's a bunch of idiots with some fucking puppets. Go. And it was so fucking effective. I thought it was brilliant. I loved that. I thought it was amazing to watch. So I think for me, those, there's obviously lots of shining moments in each of the shows that we've seen, but those 2 were pretty near perfect, I would imagine. I don't know if you feel the same or if you have. I'm sure it's more different when you're the GM because you're like, that was wrong. There was this thing. You see all the scuff marks, but I think from a viewer perspective, even though I wasn't even a viewer in both of those, I was in them both.
It's already crying, Brad.
I know. Brilliant work. Whack.
Hold on.
Oh, okay.
Can I say something? Can I just tell them something?
Yeah.
I don't think you guys will care.
You say whatever you want. It's your show.
So we made a decision during COVID not to run shill shows. We ran out of money. And I wanted to do this crazy fucking idea for Ungodly 2. And we didn't have any money. And Whack was like, do it anyway, peeps. I want you to do this idea and we'll figure it out. And I mean, we did, but like, the 2 of you have always been like, you've got a crazy idea? Go do the crazy idea. We wouldn't have gone if Whack and Brad hadn't said, don't freak out. Everyone wants Nocturne 2, but run whatever you want. And we wouldn't have Ungodly 2 if these 2 idiots weren't like, wow, you're crazy, but go for it. Like, yeah.
Yeah. To be fair.
Thanks for always
supporting me. I think Brad and I... Just to hopefully get you out of the crying stupor.
Yep. Sorry.
I think Brad and I had no idea what you were gonna do until we saw it on the screen.
No, I almost never have any idea.
No fucking idea. I'm like, what the fuck is she doing?
I know,
Yeah.
but that's why I'm like so grateful, because I felt
The
that
blind
energy
trust.
from you guys. You were like, I don't understand what you mean. What are you gonna do?
Why
with
do you need
this?
so much money?
Why do you need so much money for
What are you
this?
doing? Yeah.
For
no,
6 episodes? Are you mad?
yeah. I mean, that's the thing, though. It's like it's interesting to if you have these ideas, but you sort of proved that you're gonna do something interesting and weird. Just do it, whatever it is. Maybe it will work, maybe it won't.
Just to piggyback off that, if you wonder how we got started with jamming, that's it. That's it right there. What Brad just said. If you got an idea and nobody's jamming, just do it. You're gonna fuck up. It's okay. Failure is how you learn. It's okay. And believe me, these two know how hard that shit is for me to say. I have to fucking force that shit into my brain like you wouldn't believe. But failure is a part of learning. That's how you learn. It's okay. I guarantee you, if you run some shit for your friends or whatever, anybody's interested in doing any sort of tabletop role-playing game, they're just happy you're running it.
Yeah.
If you
that's
make
true.
it better, that's awesome. They're just happy.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the minimum. I think that's what we spoke about a bit last week. For me, it was a thing that I needed to learn very recently. It was just reduce it down to that. And then go from there again. Otherwise you're going to build this. It becomes so much pressure. When you do run something that, a lot of people are applauding you for, and that was brilliant. You're like, I can never run anything again. This is crazy.
Yeah.
It's the worst feeling.
It's the worst.
And then you're like, oh, I just have to. Then that's when I need to reduce stuff down to, let me just try and make something for my friends, and then hopefully everyone will enjoy it. You guys are going to hate the next thing I run. It's going to be so shit. I don't even want to have this conversation about you two and your best shows and then have to run what I have planned. Wax 2 shows that I enjoyed the most, or I think one of the best things Whack has ever produced, this is nuts coming from me because I didn't watch Harry Potter, but was Witchcraft and Wizardry. I think that is like, I don't know what it is about Whack just running. Again, we spoke about this a little bit this morning, I think, but Whack running something that's kind of just like cozy game. I don't know how to describe it. It's just kind of it's not like you got to fight God. It's not like there's a fucking demon inside of you. It's just like, it's very much, it feels like very much he's very good at running a safe space show. I think that's very comfortable, cozy, and easy for anyone to watch. I don't like Harry Potter or anything.
Yeah.
I don't like those movies. I haven't read the books. But that, for me, feels like it was close to a perfect show. And that went on forever, too.
Yep.
Like that
that was incredibly impressive how you did that.
That has like
Not to piggyback on
1,700 episodes. Believe me, I know. I just did all the podcast stuff for it.
The craziest thing about Witchcraft and Wizardry is I remember watching the first episode of that and watching all the players' faces and reactions when Whack gave them the gift of playing in their favorite world. And I went, I can never run anything in any IP ever.
There's something about when you watch,
I will never be able to do that.
You can pluck any episode of Witchcraft and Wizardry, and you can pluck any minute from any of that series and just tune into it. And everyone there is sitting there, rosy-cheeked, smile on their face.
Yeah.
It's nuts. You created like like how Christmas is presented on TV.
Yes.
It's that.
That was the thought I had too. I was like, man, this is the happiest day of their lives.
Yeah,
dude.
whatever
They're
that
like,
is.
I'm going to Hogwarts.
For like a whole group of people, and I imagine a lot of people that watched it too.
Yeah.
So I think, and this is more of an objective take, I think objectively that might be the best thing that you've run from my perspective, because I just think it's just so...
How dare you? He's got some good shit, man.
He has. And I'm about to go on a...
Okay. Yep.
I'm just starting here because I wanted to start with objectively. I just think it is so accessible for everyone. You could watch that with your kids. True. Kind of. Yep. There's obviously some like, you know.
He also made the system that they used.
That's the other thing I was about to say. The fact as well on top of that is that the system that's being run in that was literally handcrafted by WAG. And I've seen some of the spreadsheets.
Yeah. He had a spreadsheet with every single school person, right? Every single student in the school.
It's in a spreadsheet somewhere on his computer. And it's the craziest spreadsheet you'll ever see. Insane. But I want to say that another one is main character, which is on at the moment.
Yep.
Is crazy good. It's super interesting. It's super innovative the way that you've presented this show so far.
Foundry, the battle maps, the music.
Utilizing Foundry, the first one of us to really utilize it. I'm like trying to learn it at the moment, and it's I know that you had been using it for Gatewalkers, but to really utilize it, I mean, for something in it been interesting. That first battle that comes up is crazy good. The first episode, the switch, the outfits and stuff was just
insane.
So cool. And you were like, oh, they're going to see the cut. And I was like, I'm like waiting for this dog shit fucking hard cut that happens. It doesn't happen. Literally, it's smooth as butter. It was amazing. Everyone was like, what?
So for those that don't know, I had to break up the video into 4 pieces.
It was another one of them up to the last minute type.
Yeah,
edits.
It was.
I had a checklist. I was like, okay, I have to have all of this shit ready, and I need to check it. I need to bring it in, and I need to check it. And because I just had so many elements for main character on my checklist, it would blow your mind. And I was just like, I know something is going to break, because it always does. On all of the shows we've ever run, some fucking element breaks. And I was like, okay. And it's a good thing I did, because the video, for whatever reason, didn't load in OBS. And I was just like, okay.
That feeling is horrible. Yeah.
Don't freak out. I got up early. I got up at like 6 or 7 a.m. that day. And I was like, I got up early. I got plenty of time to fix it. I'm good. Tried not to freak out, and I broke up the video into 4 pieces. But because of that, there's like a couple frames of black in between, and you can see it. And I'm like, is this gonna fuck with them? And then you guys were just like, oh no, it's part of what's happening to them. It's okay. I don't think anybody picked up on. Meanwhile, it's the only thing I can see on the other screen.
It's the worst feeling. But I really am enjoying the way that you've presented main character, and I'm also just a fan, I think, of you doing anime, basically. The ZBO, I know there's just like, I know for you is such a sore point. I get it. I've got a couple of those shows as well where I'm just like, everyone's like, it's the best, and you're like, for me it almost hurts to think about. But I played in that. Another just great experience. Like for me, when I think of ZBO, I loved the whole thing. It was so fun. It was so interesting. I know that like for you, it was a lot of like, this is so frustrating to have to deal with the mechanics of the system. And I fully understand it. I fully understand it. But from the perspective of playing it, the way that you managed to structure that story, and the way that you brought in the characters, and the way that you had us all sort of working as a team and growing, you somehow made every character on that show go through a character arc.
Wack does this really well. Sorry to jump in with you, but I will forget. He really does make you feel like you're in a comic book when you're playing.
Yeah.
As you scale up, you feel like, wow, I'm growing and I'm feeling more powerful. And there are some games that you're in where you're just kind of like coasting along, or, you know, I don't know. It just does. You don't feel like you don't feel like you're the main character, but you feel like you're a main character when
you feel like the main character, and you feel like you're in that comic book. You feel like you're in that anime. And I imagine that's how it feels to be in main character right now. It kills me because I was supposed to be in main character. But and then Wack was like, I don't want you in it anymore because I don't like you very much. But I do know how that feels from ZBO. And this is me actually pivoting to what I actually think my favorite thing that WAC ever run was. And that was both ID Crisis and Halcyon Unbound. Like, for me, by far, I don't know. It pisses me off how good you were at running a superhero show, because I want to do it. I want to do it, and I want to fucking it. But you did it so well. No one ever needs to do it ever again. Those shows were crazy good, and there is something that you're able to do where you're able to give. The annoying thing is it harkens back to the meme earlier on where you made me play a meme character, and then you forced me to just evolve live into a fully fleshed person who I fucking cared about. And if I care about them now, I care about playing them, and hopefully that means other people start caring about them. And I think you somehow are able to draw that from people. And I don't know if it's because you're like, oh, just make a silly anime character. This is going to be our fun anime flying through space show. This is going to be, oh, you're all going to go into an isekai. Oh, you're all superheroes. And it's just, it's going to be My Hero Academia. Don't worry about it too much. And then it does that thing that I love so much in anime. When you're watching just a bullshit anime, you don't give a fuck. They're just like, oh, I'm an anime character. And then suddenly it has like the most amazing, intense episode. And you see these characters evolve. They evolve into fully three-dimensional people with depth and character, and suddenly all these like shitty little quirky things that they were doing in the previous episodes actually have loads of depth and meaning. And I don't know if you do this on purpose or it just you're able to slowly draw this from people or what, but somehow I've watched you do that show after show after show, and I think it's
with
very
comedic players too.
You just get
to like cry in character, you motherfucker. How did you do that?
You broke fist. It is such an impressive skill that I don't think I don't even know how you do it, let alone how I would replicate it, let alone how I would force players to do this like live evolution thing. But I think some of it is just that you're very casual in the beginning stages when you play in a WAC campaign. He's just like, yeah, just play a character, make sure your character sheet says this. Yeah, I'll help you do all the mechanical stuff, but just whatever your character is, whatever, be whatever you want. And then he'll put you in that environment and you're like, I'm Farty Fart Man. And he's like, okay, Farty Fart Man, this is your nemesis. He's actually your twin brother. And you're like, oh shit, that's my twin brother. And then you're like, yeah, he's just annihilated your entire home city and he has this to say to you. And then you'll just bang out some amazing piece of acting out of nowhere as an NPC that you've just made up off the top of your head. And now my character has to fucking respond properly. I have to match you somehow. That's what you're doing. And it's not like he's not forcing you to do it. It's just like, this is what he's pulled from me. He's making me evolve this character up. And I felt it in every character in Identity Crisis so much to the point where it changed how seriously I took this. Like, I was just playing D&D with my friends, and I've never tried to act. I've never tried to be a better voice actor. I've never tried to be a better anything. I just go at stuff, and I'm like, I had a go at it. And then I played in, but mostly watched Identity Crisis, and you did it with Halcyon as well. But by the end of Identity Crisis, I was like, I need to take this more seriously. I need to act better. I need to treat the players' characters better with respect, and I need to start trying to pull and evoke these character arcs from people, because that was so much better because of how he forced me to evolve and how I watched you do it with each of the other players as well.
You know why I do it? Because I know that a lot of people are scared to play a character because they think they're going to be bad at it.
Exactly me. Identity Crisis.
And I know, and I had interacted with you enough to know that that's just your fear talking. And I know that you have a lot more to give when you are doing this. And I think personally, when people are able to get past that wall, everything is better. Everything is better.
Yeah.
All the stuff that you do on a show, everything is better. And it all comes from me trying to empathize with what you are doing. That's how I play all my characters. That's how I play all my NPCs. I try to empathize. Even if you do Farty McFartson, why are they like that? I'm trying to think about that. Why are they Farty McFartson? Why does he take everything so seriously? Like when you made Poloculus, I'm like, yeah, Poloculus is acting this way because he's fucking scared. He's fucking scared, and he's putting out this, I'm Cyclops. Everything's good, but really he's crying himself to sleep every night because it's the pressure that's, exerted on him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think that you're a fucking master of it. And I think you're a master of those. Well, the two reasons that I sort of highlighted, I think, those shows in particular, because they were the cartoony, they're anime. You literally came to us and was like, hey, this is going to be a comedy anime for ZBO.
Jay was so against it too.
And
he was like, dude, I don't know, a superhero show?
Yeah.
Ugh.
And
I don't know how you're going to transition from cyberpunk to this.
Because you went from like Sprawl or whatever. Was that the one before that? That was awesome as well, by the way, but for completely different reasons. But the way that you're able to do that, I think, is very much highlighted in those shows, even though I think I've seen you do it in every other show. But a lot of shows, people went into, like with Rhyme and stuff, they were playing D&D. They knew they needed characters that had elements of, they could be funny or they could be serious or whatever. When you're told that it's going to be a comedy show, you immediately go, okay, I'll just make a 2D character called Farty McFartson. And then
he never told us that, about ZBO.
He told me.
We just assumed. He told you?
He told me it was going to be a comedy anime.
I think all he said was anime, and you and I were like, "Oh, it's great, lighthearted
Maybe
comedy."
he said anime.
To be fair,
That's true.
I did find some video or something where it was it said like comedy anime or something, and and it was never my intention when I was making the show. I was like, "This is Gundam." You guys are Gundam.
God, you
had me watching Gundam.
You gave us Gundam, bro.
I remember.
Fucking Christ.
I had just moved into like 2 houses ago. And we were staying in like the spare room because we were like doing like painting or something in one of the other rooms. And I remember just laying in this room filled with all of our stuff on this bed, watching the whole of Gundam through like a wall of stuff. And I was like, why? I was studying. I was studying for this show, and it was the best way to study it. But yeah, I think, just to close it up, I think that is one superpower that you have that is so prevalent in those things, and it literally, because of witnessing you do that time and time again, especially when I was younger and first learning how to do this, that I think taught me to take it a bit more seriously, and a bit more maybe professionally, I don't know. But secondarily, I also think that there is an element to stuff like Witchcraft and Wizardry and Root, where you're able to just create these environments that are very comfortable and very safe. I honestly believe there's probably a market of just full-blown family-friendly content that you would smash if you just got some real like cozy streamers in and did Stardew Valley, the TTRPG. And because I know that there's probably a lot of people that listen to these shows and they just want it on in the background. There's probably people that fall asleep to this kind of thing. I fall asleep to podcasts all the time just for like white noise. And I think you could probably do that with those kinds of shows. It's masterful to watch, I think.
Thank you. That's very kind. And I was trying not to cry through the whole thing.
Oh, good. You did it, is what I meant. I cried. You succeeded. Congratulations. Pat on the back. Yeah.
Man.
I'll go.
Right,
so
we're done,
now, right? I can go next. Okay, cool. No. I get to go. I get to tell you guys.
Yeah.
Right? But I will start with Whack, just because that's what we were talking about. There are so many, obviously, but I do think, and I'm gonna pick another one, but Identity Crisis is definitely, and obviously I mean no disrespect to any show before Identity Crisis, but I think if you were to take an objective view and you were to look at Tablestory show history, everything changed with Identity Crisis. Whack fucking brought it up and set the plate and was like, here you guys go, meet me
It's
here
that
or die. Like, it
level
was
up,
like, meet me
that
at my
level
level.
up stone in Pokemon, where you force the Pokemon to evolve. That's there are those moments where you see those evolutions, and absolutely agree.
Yeah.
That show.
Identity Crisis also has a very special place in my heart because I was going to go to acting school and do that for my, for my dream or whatever. And I didn't end up doing it. And I couldn't even watch plays after I didn't go to school. And I had sworn off like, oh, I won't do anything ever again. I won't role play. I won't do any of that stuff. And when Whack invited me to Identity Crisis, my first reaction was, oh, no, I'm not going to do that. And then for some reason, I was like, yes. Wasn't for some reason. I'd seen Neon Scream, right? I'd seen some of that, and I was like, man, they're having a blast. And they would go from like, something ridiculous and funny to some motherfucker getting thrown out a window, and I was like, this is so fun. And something in me was like, yeah, sure, why not? And it is one of my fondest memories is that Identity Crisis show, and I did feel really with that character, I kind of had an idea in my head of like, oh, I'm just gonna play this side character, who is gonna support Dan's character and the other characters, because that'll be easy for me. And then Whack does this, and we talked about it a little bit, where he takes time with each character and makes that character feel like a main character in their own way. And spoilers, but like you turned Astray into a real girl, and that's like something that I was just like, holy shit, dude. And that alone made me go, oh, because I had to switch my playset after that. And it just made me go, oh, we make the rules. I don't have to play D&D the way that D&D is meant to be played. I don't have to have any rules in Gone. It's fine. Or Nocturne or whatever.
Creators say the same shit, by the way.
Yeah.
People that make these systems, they just want you to have fun.
Yeah, they just want you to do it and do whatever. And so I think Identity Crisis is definitely worth mentioning, just because I think it really did set the bar and change Tablestory in a pretty phenomenal way. I think it was like, I also remember the audience for that show just being like, we love this show, and thank you guys, and just we're there every week, and they were crying with us, and it was just like the audience experience for that show was something really special as well.
It does feel like that was one of the ones where I feel like we have like, and don't let them hear this, but we have a tight community. Like, yes, the Tablestory community is unreal. Like, it's unbelievable, and I feel like that was one of the shows where it came in.
Yeah.
I think up to then we were just making shows and people were finding us and enjoying it. Then we had stuff like buses in the chat.
Yeah.
And then everyone's they were like in a stadium. I think some of this is to do with the car. Goobers, I think, did a lot of that. He is a tour de force of like energy. He's one of those people. He's almost like a John Sandman kind of. He's got that kind of gravitas, and that it's just like full on. Like, you're near him and it's like he's like radioactive, but like in a good way. And you're just like, whoa, he's like glowing. And so you got that element in that show where I think you're right, PB. I think there was something about that show that really brought the community into this shitty thing we were doing, and then bound. It felt like a shit. It was just like, we're just playing D&D and archiving it.
It did feel like,
and then we created a community with that show. All that was the thing. Because everyone was brought together. There was something about it, man. There was something about that show. ID Crisis was crazy.
Yeah. I remember being on Andrew's balcony with Jay. We were having a drink. He was smoking, and we went from people watching friends play D&D to people experiencing what we were experiencing together on Identity Crisis.
I think that was the show as well, yeah.
Yep. And that kind of, that, I think that is like, when people think about Tablestory, I think Identity Crisis is the first real show that kind of represented where we wanted, where Tablestory is today, where we wanted it to be, and all that kind of stuff. So That's definitely one of the ones that I would put out there. However, honorable mentions go to Simulacrum and Cult. Simulacrum taught Whack everything he needed to know about what he's doing right now in main character, and holy fucking shit, main character had the best premiere we have ever had on Tablestory. Hands down. Hands
100%.
down.
Yeah.
100%.
Simulacrum ran so that main character could run.
Yes. Yep. Mm-hmm.
You know,
they're different shows, but like it,
kind
you know,
of.
there's something that, you know, I feel like Whack tested some things out and in his GM style and did some things with Simulacrum that he's utilizing now, or, you know, he's always pushing the envelope for what he wants to do next. But so Simulacrum for main character, I watched the premiere of main character and I didn't even get up to pee. I was so glued to the screen. I was like, this is incredible.
You just peed right there.
Well,
Yeah, totally. In my chair. Yep, in my chair. And I said, this is the best premiere we've ever had on Tablestory. This is phenomenal. It was very, very good. But Ashes of Eriador, because I really felt like it was, that was a Lord of the Rings story that you put us through. It was legit. It was legit. And I know Whack just last week was like, you know, there's some things I would have done differently, but I just recently watched through the trilogy again, and I went, oh my God, like we had our own story. It wasn't a replication of anything in there, but it just had the same beats in it. And you did this with Rhoda as well, where you hit all the stuff that you were supposed to hit that made it feel like a show. And one of the hardest things to do on Tablestory is your premiere. And the second hardest thing to do, that's the second hardest thing to do is your premiere. The hardest thing to do is your finale. And Ashes of Eriador was fucking flawless. It was perfect.
Yeah.
It's
when you nail the
landing
landing
that was.
like that. And like as well, you know, the other thing that was probably so difficult and was a little difficult for Rota as well, and I imagine you feel the same way, Whack. When you're running those things, there is so much pressure on getting it right. And not just because people will be like, actually, Gandalf isn't in the second era, you know, and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Which I was very worried about with Star Wars as well, just getting something wrong and having to deal with, you know, the Wikipedia people showing up. But like, then you have players like Murgles, where if you fuck this up, she'll never speak to you again because she loves it. She loves Lord of the Rings.
Mm-hmm.
And you have players like that who you're holding something that means something to them. It's very fragile, and you're running them through an experience that for them could be one of the best experiences of their life if you get it right. And I think you did do that with Mergs. I don't know.
No, she loved
I don't want to
it.
speak for
perfect.
Mergs.
We cried for a few hours,
but it
after
felt
the finale
like that
together.
with
great.
the whole cast. But I just, you know, when you have that, you're holding something very delicate, and you have to keep like throwing that up every week and catching it without breaking that delicate thing, and providing that experience for, you know, not just a player but like everyone else who really enjoyed it. And I do think that with Lord of the Rings as well. I had just watched all of the Lord of the Rings because it was when Rings of Power 1 came out, right? That was around that period of time, and I was like, I'll watch all the Lord of the Rings movies and the Hobbit movies and stuff. And it definitely had the feel. You did it.
Yeah, it was perfect. I also I've learned a lot from Whack and his jamming. There was a moment in that show that really sticks with me where there was an opportunity to, I'm trying to think of how to say this without spoiling anything. There was an opportunity to connect something to that main Lord of the Rings story, and he immediately replied with, no, I don't want to do that because I want this to belong to this character. I want this to be this character's moment and this special thing for this character. And it just brings it all back around to the attention to these characters in this story, that he will love them and, you know, kind of lift them up and do his very best to showcase their story. It's hard because I also really like Cult. I thought Cult was a very tight show.
Facade?
Facade, your Cult show that you ran in that system. And it made me realize, because you told me when you were looking at it, you were like, because I was thinking about running it too for something. I can't remember. and you went, I don't think you'll like this one. You gave me some advice after you read through Cult, and then when I played in it, I realized that you were right, and I was like, oh my God. Yeah, this is phenomenal. But yeah, that was an incredible show too. You did horror. You can do it all.
I feel
It's
like
crazy.
you almost did Gone in Cult. Or you did...
It
maybe
was something
then.
like that. It was one of my crazy
I remember the
shows
two
that I
of
was
you
like, I'm thinking
looking
about
at
this.
Cult at the
And
same
he
time.
was like, no, don't do that. I don't think you're going to like it. And he was right. It was fun to play in. I had a blast in that show.
I think it was
loved that
something
character
along
as well.
the lines of you were going to have to hack too much. I think that's what it was.
Yeah, and you were like, don't do it.
You can think about this as like a secondary option, but I think for what you have told me, I think that it would be better to find something that is closer to what you want.
Yeah. And that's something that you're really good at too, I think, is that you can find a system and go, hey, I think you'd like to run this. I think you'd be good at that. Or I can be like, hey, am I going to like this system? And you're going to be like, no, you won't. So it's good. Bradley, I have answers for you as well. I don't think you're going to like what I have to say. One, obviously Darkfire, but I'm going to say this. I know I was in it, okay? This doesn't count, but I need you to know that there was an episode in Darkfire, and I say this all the time. There was an episode in Darkfire that I stole, and I use it all the time. I learned a very valuable lesson. I learned a very valuable lesson in that Christmas special, which was let your players think they're playing in a fucking one shot and then rip their heart out. And I was like, why did I not realize that your one shots can be connected to the story? Why did I not realize that when a player's down or gone, you can still do a one shot and then just let them play other characters in the world and then let the audience see a different perspective that they don't get to see because the main characters are doing something else. And I swear by it now. In fact, even if a player isn't down, I still go out of my way to be like, we're going to do an episode of play now because it's going to change the perspective and let you guys see something from another, from another angle. And yeah. And also it just lets especially in like a horror show or something like that, lets the players blow off some steam and then they can go back to the serious stuff. But yeah, so Darkfire for that reason is the first reason. The second reason is it is one of the best, like, I don't even know if you can call it a dungeon, but one of the best things I've ever fucking seen was that tournament arc, dude. Like, I was losing my shit over the tournament. It was so cool. I was like, I didn't even know you could do this. I remember taking the train. I remember my phone not loading all the way and being so frustrated that I couldn't like listen to this tournament. And I literally was running down my apartment complex hallway so that I could get back in time for that tournament arc, man. It was really something special. And I remember being like, wow, okay, he'll take an idea and then he'll twist it in a way in which like he's not afraid to go, okay, I want to feature this character and I'm going to do it in a way in which like not only showcases them, but is like a fun puzzle or it's like a twist on a dungeon. It's not your stereotypical, dungeon like you think it would be a dungeon or mini game like you would think it would be, in D&D. He will make JRPG mini games in D&D. And it's really fucking cool and very impressive. And I wish I was better at that. So Darkfire for that reason, because that I feel like Darkfire just really inspired me. And I did take from you the Christmas special. I fucking learned. I was like, okay, I know how it's done now. I will do that forever. And the second answer is Miss Light was my shit. I had such FOMO with that show. I never missed a single episode. That's just the vibe, the everything that you poured into that. It's like the darker, it was like very Stephen King. I fucking loved that show. And I know that you don't want me to say that, but I feel like I have to say it's like it was incredible to watch. And then Cura, obviously, is probably the more recent example of that. Cura is like the perfect show.
You knew some of the secrets of Miss Light though. That's the thing. Yeah. You got the keys to the kingdom.
Like, mm-hmm.
You're the only person with the lost manuscript.
Yeah.
For the ending.
And it was brilliant. So I was like, wow, okay, holy shit.
Yeah.
But so was Kira. And I did have a little bit of ahead of time knowledge for Kira. So watching the finale unfold was really special. I also really enjoyed watching the audience participation or interaction with Kira. I saw a lot of people come away from some of those episodes going like, holy shit, I feel like my perspective on life has been changed. Yeah.
Well, you helped me develop a lot of Cura. Not in terms of like hard writing down stuff down, but me just bouncing ideas off of you constantly while I was like trying to figure it out, you know, because it was the first time in a while that, you know, not including Miss Light, but I had 2 campaigns with you in a row.
Mm-hmm.
Then you were in Rota.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard when one of us is in the thing, you want to bounce ideas off of them, but you can't. Mm-hmm. And you're like, I need to know your opinion on this thing, you know, and that kind of thing. And it was all, that show was there was a lot of mirrors in there because it was all just like, there's another thing over here. It's one of the reasons I wanted you to be the voice of a particular character in that, I guess. Because you're mirror world me. I'm mirror world you in a lot of these aspects. And I was like, I think it's a good idea to, you know, whenever we have that.
Did you ever reveal that? Are you revealing that right now?
Yeah, I don't think you know this.
Oh, okay. No. I mean, do they know that I did a voice in there?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. Wait, which one are you talking about? Are you talking about
I'm talking about Cura.
Or are you talking... Oh, okay. Yep.
Now they know you did a voice in Miss Light that they didn't know
bad.
about up until that point.
My bad.
Yeah, no, in Cura you played a mirror to the villain. Because the villain was me. Kind of. And you know. And I mean one of the original points for Cura was that it was the original plan for it was going to be the story of my life, and it just told, you know, it starts in this like normal way, and then this devastating thing happens, and then it gets all weird and crazy, and you do this sort of thing where you go around, you have to figure out what's going on. So there's a lot of the story beats in that show that followed that. I did kind of go away from that towards the end because I was like, I don't know if I want the theme to be me. It's so narcissistic.
Yeah, but it's a universal experience.
Yeah, I mean, I just thought it would be a fun structure, and then I just and it was. That is what the structure of the show ended up being. The bones were just like following the story of my life, you know, like all these crazy things, drugs, and like madness, and like depression, and fear of death, OCD, all of these like, you know, these strange things, like obsessing about fantasy worlds. There's like this other world, you know. So it does follow that, you know, there's points where they're standing in front of this like radioactive thing that's messing with their head, and that was supposed to be a representation of the area of the game that was, you know, drugs.
There's another reason why I picked Cura, and it is because, again, I feel like I got to see behind the curtain a little bit, because Brad did kind of say like, here are my ideas and blah, blah, blah. But about like 3 or 4 episodes in, he called the ending. He was like, this is where I think this is where they're going to take the story. And it's probably either going to be this, or this. And then, you know, like a week, 2 weeks, watching him slowly like put pieces in place to kind of like guide them in a direction, not, you know, railroad or anything like that, but decisions that they could make one way or the other, and knowing their characters well enough to know which one they were going to make. And yeah, watching that unfold was pretty special as well.
Yeah, I figured them out. I figured them out nice and early. That was one where I really didn't hard code in an ending. Quite often I do.
Yeah.
Quite often I'll like write the beginning and the end and just see where, you know, how they get there, kind of, which is a weird way to put it. Yeah. I think really, I think we all know that the best show that was ever on Tablestory was Whack Learn's Blender.
I was gonna say Ragtag, but yes, Whack
was
Blender.
Big Zags.
is hilarious because the whole point of me doing that was like, oh, I'm gonna do an anime opening for main character.
Yeah.
The whole reason that main character started when it did, I would have started that show way earlier. But I was like, I need to make a banger anime opening.
Yeah.
I need it. And I had it completely made in my head. I had it done. And I was like, I just can't do it. I just don't have the time. I need another year for this.
Yeah.
At least.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean.
Oh, and also, Brad, Rhoda is like the, best, most polished thing you've ever done. It was fucking fantastic. I felt like I was in Star Wars.
Yeah,
like,
it is.
Yeah,
I feel like a con artist with that show, though. I know it.
I feel like a con artist with that show. I feel like I was not at all at.
No, I feel like a con
artist.
I do.
No, me. I do. Well, we all know it was orcish.
It was orcish. The thing with when you do a hyper polished show like that, that was me really leaning into my post production ability, which I know there is no post production in this, not really. But I just applied all of that power.
Full power to it.
Full power.
Do you have the trailer? Can you play the trailer real quick? It's like one of my favorite trailers on Tablestory. It's so Star Wars. I'm gonna die.
I don't.
You don't have it loaded up, do you?
Think I can.
Okay.
I'm not doing this again.
I'm not making you do it again. I promise. I'm so sorry.
It plays before this every week. So I'm sure people will have
so
seen
good,
it.
You guys.
But
I was screaming.
I really feel like this is why I feel like a con artist, because I feel like that wasn't really me GMing. That was me just being a fucking Hollywood producer. That's what it would look like if you were like, Brad, Disney have just asked you to make a TV show.
Yeah.
What are you making? That's what it would have been. And that's it. Like, it doesn't feel like I GM'd. I'm sure I know it probably feels like I did, but it didn't feel like I was GMing as much as just being like, I've created all of these set pieces. I've created this idea. I've created this theme. I've created these characters. I've created
a long time ago too. You had Rhoda written and ready.
I had
like
an idea.
Years before.
Yeah. So I knew kind of how I wanted to approach it. The only GMing I did felt like the combat. Because
which was amazing as well, because we got to experience everything, guys. We had the ship combat, we had the foot combat, we had the on a moving vehicle combat. We had it all.
Yeah, and I wanted everything in there. It was very important to me that I hit every Star Wars beat. I mean, you know how it feels. You did this exact same thing with Blade Runner. Wack did it with Lord of the Rings, and you both nailed it. You know exactly how this feels, I think. But you're emulating something to the best of your ability and as respectfully as you can do it, while also being like a super fan and being like, I want this to be what it is. And so when you're done with it, you're like, great, I Xeroxed that. And everyone's like, bravo, absolutely fantastic. I laughed, I cheered. And you're like, oh, that was a photocopy. I don't... I really applied myself, don't get me wrong, and I really applied myself, but I applied myself to all this shit I already know how to do.
You applied yourself with stuff you already know how to do, but also with the love to somebody else's work and realm that you've loved for a very long time.
Yeah.
I think it feels easier because you have loved it for so long. But
I put a lot of effort into the sound and I treated so much music, and I spent forever just doing that rather than writing a setting, writing all that stuff that you normally have to do. It was all on sound design and just making sure I was like, how do I deconstructed Star Wars and was like, what is chaff, what is irrelevant, and what is actually the things that make this feel like Star Wars. Put all of that in, and I baked the cake, and then I went, there you go, there's a cake. And everyone was like, that is the most amazing cake. And I'm like, nah, I just followed this shit recipe online. It was whatever.
I want to make cookies.
Well, you can, because this is the end of the episode, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in and supporting us here.
Wait, we don't get to talk about which villain we would date?
No. They did not provide us with enough money.
We don't get the fucking PB ear story either.
God damn it. No, we're very grateful. Happy Valentine's Day. Be grateful for what you've got.
It's the only reason Murgles
grateful.
was here. She saw the the thumbnail and said Data TS villain. She didn't care about anything else we were doing.
Just it's like that the Simpsons Ralph meme where he just jumps
Murgle's
through the
life
window.
now. You've ruined
Yep,
Murgle's
just
life.
the Arthur fist is her right now.
Yeah. If you found anything that we've said interesting about some of these shows, please check them out. I highly recommend Ashes of Eriador and Blade Runner. Go and watch those. And if you found anything that we said to be romantic here on this Valentine's Day, then there's something wrong with you.
I was like, where are you going with this?
I don't think. I don't know if we didn't touch on the Valentine's Day question. We didn't get there.
What was the Valentine's Day
It
question?
was date a Tablestory villain.
I know. That's why.
That's the Valentine's Day question on Valentine's Day that we didn't get to. I thought about it earlier on. I was like, I should put that lower on the thing so that we definitely hit it.
Which should just be a question that we do because it's Valentine's Day. But that's
It should have
fine, I guess.
It should have been. Valentine's Day. But
Every day is Valentine's Day in Murgle's home.
but yeah, because it was the chat, I wanted to pull chat live for that question, so I put it a bit further up on the thing, and it was a mistake. And we learn, and we move on.
Well, I'm not ready to move on.
Okay. Well, you have to because it's the end of the stream. Do you know what I did forget to do?
Will you just play the trailer again? Please get me off the screen.
All right, here's the trailer for PB's show, which will be replacing
in 15
this.
minutes today.
It will be replacing this show on March the 7th. We'll be back with some more non-effort next week. Just a couple of quick shout outs just to get PB off before PB crumbles.
Thank you.
Gatewalkers on Monday, the finale.
Yep.
So if you want to see Whack absolutely fucking crush a landing of the finale of a show, I'm just adding
this to him?
as much pressure onto him as I can. We got to keep him contained. Have we not learned anything from tonight?
Players, before anything happens on Monday, I just want to state it again for the record. The players specifically asked me to make it extra difficult.
That is insane, by the way, to ask Whack to do it as well, the GM of Doom. So check that out.
First finale party wipe.
So Gatewalkers finale on Monday, don't miss it. Deathless on Sunday, and main character on Thursday, and that's all of our shows currently, apart from non-effort
And Brad
next
will
Friday.
eventually run something.
I've got something planned.
Again. I know. I'm just teasing. I'm sorry. It's very good. I'm very excited.
It is
And
not
you should
good.
be too.
Do not get
It is.
excited for this.
Okay.
Of all having this conversation
Mm-hmm.
and then going into Brad has a show maybe has activated maximum imposter syndrome in me, and I'm not going to sleep tonight.
Oh well. I'm sorry. Kidding.
How's that different from any other night, Brad?
Here is the next trailer. This trailer for PB's show that starts very soon. It's going to be the best show she's ever made.
Also, Magical Kitties is going to be in the Discord in 8 minutes.
Oh, God, is it? Is it really Magical Kitties?
Yes.
Unbelievable.
Orcish was like, I got to do a Brad show.
Oh,
so
God.
I'm going to do the Magical Kitties
After what we've just said, you guys were like, oh, Rota was so good. Do not.
Oh, it's
Oh,
canceled?
no. It's
Never
not.
mind,
Yeah,
it's canceled.
canceled.
Oh,
It's
thank God.
canceled.
It was me. I just did it then. I pulled like a CEO move and was like, oh, you're not allowed to run that. I'm going to contact licensing. All right, here we go.
Give him a
PB's next show. Here's the trailer. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Thank you so much, everyone who sent us some money, some cold, hard cash, a couple of tips. We very much appreciate it. We'll see you next week. Here we go. Trailer running
No.